Well, I just feel like they've kind of relied on Hanbin for a little bit here now, and obviously they should be a team where when someone comes out and play their Ramatra, like they should be absolutely overpowering on that kind of composition as well. It's what we saw at EWC when they took down GK, for example, on Blizzard World. They relied heavily on that kind of a composition. But you know, you even saw against a team like Crazy Raccoon, who with Max in the mix, who will be able to overcome them. That was a bit of an upset for me. And talking about upsets, that's something that Varel will have to accomplish here.
So, I mean, Varel, we saw them at EWC. It was awesome to have them there. Now coming in here to the World Finals, Rose, obviously a really tough matchup. What can they do, though, to make it interesting?
I'm really hoping it's just we're going to see someone like Top Dragon pop off. I think that's a player that has been super exciting to watch, especially in the DPS role. And we are going to see Top Dragon as a part of this starting roster. Top Dragon comes in being able to play things like Pharah. I think that's going to end up being a really great counter in some scenarios to what Team Falcons might want to run.
Yeah, and I mean, well, Johnny, what do you think on that? I know Top Dragon, obviously a very talented player.
Yeah, I mean, Top Dragon also, then speaking about that, he's one of the leading kind of guys when it comes to the communication for this team as well. And obviously, Varel, they were quite successful in their own region without Top Dragon in the first place. But they feel like they needed to make an addition here to kind of level up when it comes to the majors. And we saw them, they actually took down one of the Chinese teams in Rock Esports, right? At the mid-season championship. But they have greater sights this time around and looking to make it go on a bit of a bigger run.
I think this team has a lot of pre-existing synergy. We get so excited about the fact that the Overwatch World Cup is coming back, and this has a huge core of the roster from Team Japan. You look at players like KSG, QKI, Nico, and Cloud. They were all on that Overwatch World Cup roster together, and they made it pretty far. They were there on LAN. They were there in, you know, there were 16 teams. They were in the top 12. I guess I want to be a little bit charitable about that, but it's just so exciting to see them now be able to show us what they have on this international stage for the Overwatch Champion Series.
Well, that's one of the things with the OWCS, right, is we have more regions involved, just like all over the globe. And we'll get two predictions here. Look, I love Varel. I think they're great.
This is not
I'm excited for Varel. I'm excited for Varel to be here.
Show him the press. I think we're all aligned.
Falcons. Are we aligned? Let's see, Rose.
He did go with Falcons. As
Johnny?
I said before,
I mean, let's be
hard
real.
to bet against them.
This is like arguably the most one-sided matchup in the entire tournament.
Falcon. Let's fucking
So
go.
very big long shot Varel wins.
If it was to go sideways, how would it happen?
Several mice would have Falcons for this to happen. And like that's just us being brutal. Like I would say that 90% Falcons is a good bet here for the channel points.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, look, I'm our channel points economist.
Are you? I don't think you have any.
I just made that up.
Yeah,
I have none left. I have thrown them into the void. 10% on Varel is not bad. Now, will that cash?
You think in 1 in 10 matchups, Varel wins these?
Will that cash? No. Will you get enjoyment out of potentially?
Nice. Refresh, baby. Unmute.
To some, it's
You just watch more.
just
I mean,
channel points.
This is
Some
ridiculous.
it's money.
nah, what? You get more drops. You obviously just farm on more channel points, and you're back in the game. You know. At one point, I went down to 200 channel points here on the Overwatch esports channel.
That's what's going to happen to you if you bet on Varel on this one.
Yeah, no,
I literally don't even know what it would look like if Varel won this because
So first to two, your argument would have to be something first to two.
Okay, so like 4 C9s.
Yeah, Falcons, like, you know,
You're here.
players are sick.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah, you'd have to have something.
Theo is just like sound burying off the map, falling down Sanctum on the pole or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it would be really tough. I mean, so for Varel, talking a little bit about them, obviously, because you know they're the underdog coming in. We talked about Top Dragon. Is there another player you're excited to see play?
Look, I think that the damage players are kind of like have to have a bit of a monster game in this one. And so I think that Top Dragon is kind of like the go-to player because of his flexibility and communication, like we said here. I think that the backline is something to look out for. Slay, for example, likes to play a lot of these double flex support heroes for Varel, and sometimes when they have to play Lucio, they sub in the most. They have a dedicated Lucio sub because their primary backline is all about the double flex support here instead.
That is a throwback.
That is a throwback indeed, but I also think it just kind of talks to Varel's playstyle. It's just like, okay, well, we recognize that sometimes we're going to have to play Lucio, right? But for the most part, we're very reliant on the ability to play these double flex support compositions. In the past, it was like a lot of Illari, stuff like that. now it might have to be a lot of Wu-Yang and Kiriko.
Yeah.
What about you, Rose? Is there like a head-to-head matchup maybe on these teams that you're looking at that could be quite fun?
You know what's crazy? Like, I actually have to look at KSG as not only just like a rising star on this team, but also somebody that I think could bring a Ramatra that can throw a wrench into the works. Like, that's a hero that I think we'll end up seeing maybe some play throughout this World Finals. And so if there is anything that might be a big difference maker, maybe it is going to be some aggressive play coming out from KSG.
Da, repede un refresh, nu-i problemă.
Players on the stage, and I'm actually hearing the game is ready. So let's go to Varel versus Falcons. Take it away, guys.
Well, thank you so much, Matt. Johnny, excited to be here with you to be able to cast through this next match. And I'm curious to know your thoughts about, you know, just this Varel roster. Really, I think already highlighting a lot of some of the big things that we could see from them, but is there anything else that stands out to you, or do you really just think it's so one-sided that we just kind of have to celebrate Falcons here?
I mean, look, I was pretty harsh on Varel there. I'm going to be completely honest, but I'm just trying to be honest about kind of like the uphill task that they have ahead here. I think we have to celebrate Japanese Overwatch overall when we talk about a team like Varel, of course, because like we talked about, they've been really dominant in that region. But we're kind of waiting for them to pop off here on the global stage. And Team Falcons is going to be a first difficult matchup for them. But really, like, this is a region that's been getting a lot of viewership. You know, the fans are really rallying behind Overwatch and are tuning in and really enjoying watching Varel play. They obviously took down a Pacific team to get here in the first place as well. So they showed that they were the better of the teams in the Pacific and Japanese region and earned themselves the spot here. And I think that when you look at their maybe future matchups here, there are definitely a couple of teams in this tournament they could upset. But again, Falcons is going to be a very difficult first opponent.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to that Road to World Finals and that finals between Varel and Nosebleed Esports. And I was so impressed just how well Varel was playing together as a team. And I love that you brought up Slay, because I think that Slay's Wu-Yang was a huge factor in that matchup as well. And if that's something that we can get a nice map for that hero, you can get a lot of splash damage into the backline. Maybe like some hope out there for the Japanese fans.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some incredible individual plays coming out from Valor, we hope. Falcons, but as we take a look here for the map pick, it's going to be Falcons picking Ilios, and I think that's no kind of surprise. I mean, the Korean teams, they just love this map, and it's going to be very tough to beat them on a map like Ilios here. Looking at the downs here as well. Zarya coming out from Falcons, perhaps protecting Hanbin's Diva here as well. It's been a very reliant hero from them. They've been liking to play some Symmetricons here, for example. Varel, on the other hand, banning the Lucio, which is another pretty interesting pick here, getting that away from Chio. Doesn't want to let him have one of his primary characters.
But honestly, the crazy part about this is that more recently, we have seen Team Falcons actually lean into a backline of Kiriko and Brigitte. That's kind of something that had started to pop up over in the Korea region, and even though Lucio was unbanned, Team Falcons still decided to go down this route of the Diva, Symmetra, and that Kiriko Brig.
Yeah, I think that Lucio is obviously still a really strong hero and is going to be a go-to pick for a lot of people. But I actually think that we might be leaning a little bit more into the Wu-Yang Kiriko and the Brig Kiriko throughout this tournament. And I think we'll see a lot of impact from the many ways you can shape this backline. And so removing that Lucio, obviously that's going to allow Varel to play their double flex support style as well. They don't really want any speed in the mix here because they want to be able to have their backline sit back as much as possible, get that poke damage in, and hopefully deny Falcons a lot of that, you know, the space around the flanks that allows them to get on top of the Varel supports. But like you said, Falcons, they're pretty happy to play this game. And I think even the fact that Hanbin is in this game in the first place here on Ilios, that tells you the fact that, you know, they're not looking to play these awfully aggressive dive compositions that they would have with someone in the mix, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you bring up like the flanks. I think like Proper, especially when you look at how much Tracer Proper has played, especially on Ilios, I think that's a player that you have to look at. And that's where like the Wu-Yang can really come in clutch, right? You send those water orbs where you expect that Tracer to come from. Maybe that stops it from really actually building up momentum and taking over a game.
Yeah, that's still not really a favorable matchup. It's going to be ridiculously crazy.
I gotta give some hopium, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you can force the recall on the Tracer early, that'll at least buy you a few seconds, right, to kind of sit back. And there are some pretty important high grounds here on Ilios when we move over to Lighthouse and such. So there is the opportunity to deny proper if you wish. I mean, I'm kind of still a little bit worried because Top Dragon has liked to move away from the Tracer and play more of the aerial heroes like a Pharah. And Hanbin is going to have, his hands full playing the Diva if that is the case, but that's also going to free up proper to play the Tracer. And so Falcons, they're looking on a little bit of comfort here. And I feel like if you're Barrel, you kind of have to cook up a pretty unorthodox composition here, knowing what Falcons probably have.
How do you like Freya?
I mean, Freya's really good. I think Freya's my favorite hit scan right now. Obviously, Ash got a bit of a buff in the most recent patch, so the fall off damage is slightly better for Ash, but Freya, the more mobile pick, I'm favoring them right now.
I think Freya could definitely show itself in this matchup, but hopefully you are also tuning in to all of our co-streamers. These beautiful faces will be joining us in person, so you have multiple different ways that you can interact with our stream. Yeah,
Jonak looking buff in the gym there, rocking the Falcons tank top as well. And I did hear from Avast that he's having some flight issues, so he'll be coming in a little bit late. But yeah, if you tune into any of these beautiful individuals, you can of course support them. Earn them yourself a little bit of drops there as well. There's lots of different options as they represent their partnered teams. But yeah, this matchup, bros. Again, I gotta say that if you're Varel, it's a bit of an uphill battle here. But I'm looking forward to see kind of like what Falcons are going to do throughout this tournament. I think you can make the argument that maybe you're hiding strats in a matchup like this. Obviously, there's been a lot of different compositions in this meta. So going up against Varel, maybe you feel like, okay, we don't have to play our primary Ilios composition here. Maybe we can, use a bit of a secondary composition. And, if someone ever picks this map against us, or most likely we pick them against them, then we can actually play our primary Ilios composition. But you never know in these tournaments like this.
But that's such a great point because all of our players are here in person. There are coaches that could be scouring the VODs. You know that you have an opponent waiting for you that's going to play you tomorrow if you're able to win this match. And so that's something where I think you're spot on. There might be just hold a couple of cards close to your chest until that's going to guarantee you a spot in the top 4.
Yeah, and I mean, even if Falcons, moving ahead here a little bit here, if Falcons win this one, they would play Team Liquid, right? The winner of this series does. And Liquid is one of those teams that they prepare really well, and maybe they could up something for Ilios, and maybe it'd be the case here that Falcons are going to hide a few of their strategies, but we'll have to see as we head into the first match.
All right, well, let's get it started. First to 2 here between Team Falcons and Varel. Both of them are going to be starting out here on Ilios Ruins, and this is where we're going to really see, I think, a good test. Now, there is some verticality that I think we could see Freya actually see some play on, but Johnny, I'm getting so excited seeing both of these teams hover over Ash.
Yeah, hovering over Ash here, and obviously can be a really strong point. You can get that bob out, and I think the perfect kind of distance when it comes to that fall-off damage. Again, I'd favor the Freya, but on this specific round, there's a lot of open space. It's kind of hard because you make yourself very visible in these open sky areas, and so you get pretty easily poked out. Ash, in this case, will be able to hide around some of these structures, and you already see Merit trying to get some of these poke shots in. And the damage is just out of control with Ash right now.
Yeah, it's going to be great to have that bob, too, that you can actually try to pressure the point with, or try to warp the area of the map that you actually want to play from. But as we see the fight start to take place, KSG is going to get locked in the small room with Ramatra and already take quite a bit of damage. As Hanbin has been demeched, this is going to be difficult to find that point presence, but that's why you're so happy to have a DPS player like Merit on your side. Proper also helping to get more of these picks so that Hanbin can do enough damage to get back into the mech and give Team Falcons that first point capture.
Yeah, it's actually quite curious that Hanbin seemed to go really aggressive there and actually lost the mech, and that is immediately something that Varel need to capitalize and get rid of that baby diva. But in that case, Top Dragon probably trying to push one of those flanks, wasn't really ready to punish Hanbin, and then it's just going to be Falcon securing that first point victory here. And now you're looking at KSG pushing forward here, trying to secure some space for Varel. You really need to control this flank to kind of try to move upwards here, try to get some space.
Well, look at how low Hanbin got already. It's almost like that same play was playing out again before our eyes. This time around, though, Hanbin wasn't going to play too risky, was able to heal back up all of that damage onto the mech. And now it's Fielder's turn to strike. With Nico out of the picture, you're not going to be able to build up to a Bob right now. And you have also done enough to pressure everybody on Varel into a small room where you definitely don't want to be facing off against a Brigitte. So with another person down, KSG doesn't get a chance to use that Annihilation either. And everybody just seems stuck between a rock and a hard place. You see the Suzu come out, and so does this Pulse Bomb. But it's unfortunately going to be a whiff on both counts. Someone's backcapping the point though, Johnny, so Team Falcons are gonna have to turn around.
Yeah, Top Dragon is just trying to draw Falcons back a little bit to gain some space for Varel and KSG. He has this Annihilation ready, which provides a lot of sustainability, but Hanbin gets another frag onto Nico here. Varel trying to go for a bit of a crazy play here and secure some picks, down one already.
How with the Annihilation?
What? Asta e de la stream-ul lor, what?
Annihilation though, it just barely gets anything, and you even saw that Kitsune Rush. Feel like it didn't get any value. As Team Falcons continue to play around these ultimates, they were able to respond to that Kitsune Rush with their own, as well as that Bob. They are working up to percentage, and Johnny, this is going to be last fight.
Yeah, it's going to be last fight here, and already scouting for Top Dragon. The Tracer's job here, touch the point and trigger the overtime so the rest of the team can fall in, but Falcons already pushing, making things difficult. Top Dragon is on the point, but Falcons no need to care. They just want to secure the frags and then turn around.
Oh, and they don't get there again!
Yeah, the second touch. It's too difficult for Varel. The pressure on Top Dragon was too much.
Oh, it's so bad because Top Dragon being able to trigger the overtime, we still actually saw some ultimates in the bank there for Varel, but the fact that you didn't have any time to use them, I mean, it is tough. I love this pressure that Team Falcons is putting onto Varel at the moment. It's just really difficult for them to actually get any of those set up.
Yeah, it's really scary because obviously you're not playing with this Lucio. That is not the preferred style for Varel. So already you're going to take space really slowly. But then if Top Dragon is also not having a lot of success in the Tracer duel, that means that you're not really controlling any space whatsoever. And a quick surround from Falcons, which makes it way easier to deal with Varel on that rotation. So top first round there for Varel. Let's see what they got in store here on our second round on Well.
As we enter into Well, we are actually going to see a swap as KSG decides to match the Diva this time around. And maybe that's going to give them a little bit more point presence, as well as just being able to make these rotations just a little bit snappier. As KSG can follow up with some of these rotations that Top Dragon is making and try to go for a couple more picks. But KSG looks a little lost right now. Feels like the rest of the team kind of didn't go with him.
Well, he lost a lot of that armor. Like, the Echo is just so brutal in this matchup, and you can only see the amount of pressure that Proper is putting onto KSG. That means that Varel is losing all that space and makes it way easier to get on top of the Ash in this kind of scenario. So now, you don't really want to play in that open area. You got to flank around the right side, and Nico is going to swap over to this Cassidy instead, which is going to be a little bit better when it comes to maybe flanking around this right side area inside the cage. You're really scared of like the aerial control that Proper has on this Echo.
It is tough because I think no matter how you slice it, Proper is going to be able to find some type of angle. Even just there, playing ground Echo is so
Asta e de la stream-ul lor, nu e de la mine.
going to give you some good distance and damage in between yourself and KSG. As Varel starts to take a rotation, they are going to notice that Merit is on the high ground. Gets forced off of it, but not before you still see this beautiful setup between Team Falcons on both of these back corners. We do see Cloud let loose his Kitsune Rush, and that's going to clear off just a little bit, allow Varel to actually make their way onto the point. But where are the kills? There is
Da, nu, că eu l-am pe 180.
no extra damage coming out, and it's just giving Team Falcons time to set up their own Kitsune Rush.
Yeah, a nice Kitsune Rush from Battle to get some space, but it's not going to be enough until Top Dragon finds a pick with that pulse bomb, and Nico takes down Chio to follow there as well. 5 versus 3 situation here. And at this point, Falcons, they are just primarily looking to stall out the point even further. So a nice kind of take there by Varel. It very much looked like Fielder was going to have the better Kitsune Rush. And with the juggling from Team Falcons, they were still in control of the point. But some nice plays there by the damage players on Varel.
Eu țin cu Falcon. Eu țin cu Falcons, de ce mă uit la Varel?
And Varel now, they have a couple of different tools that they can work with this. Especially when you're looking at something like the Deadeye from Nico, I wonder if that's even just a way that you can respond with a duplicate from Proper.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really powerful because you can select one of these tankers that you wish, but KSG,
Dacă
under so much
banau
pressure,
Echo,
like, you're gonna lose this mech, and at this
cum au
point,
banat
you have no one
din meciul
besides
trecut.
Top Dragon to really touch this point. A nice pick from Cloud. That's going to at least mean that Varel have a chance in this fight. To lose KSG in this scenario, duplicate from Popper onto the Cassidy and Falcons, if they just stick together at this one, they can actually if need be. But they don't even need to at this point. They're just gonna clean up a Varel there. But you can see just how much ground Falcons is getting from the fact that Proper can just put so much pressure on the KSG. KSG needs to be more aware of this echo and maybe play more indoors to try to live longer in these kind of scenarios.
But if you're indoors, then can you actually help out Top Dragon with some of those pincers that you'd like to? I think at this point, with Vero also playing this Cassidy, KSG, a lot of that job is going to be trying to protect the Cassidy to at least allow Nico to get some damage.
Yeah, 100%. And the rally comes out from Slay here, actually trying to walk up here. Top Dragon, some nice pressure onto Merit there. That's going to at least distract them for the time being. Gio getting a pick on the Cloud here, and again, another 90-point scenario here. Someone's gonna be touching the point.
Dacă e problemă de calitate, eu nu pot să dau calitatea mai mare de atât, e de la streamul lor. Eu am calitatea pe 180. 180, 1080. Nu pot să dau mai mult de atât.
But Vero has a couple of ults. Maybe there is a little bit of a way for them to get back in, but if they don't have anybody that can actually come, touch the point, and trigger the overtime, then it is going to be all over. Uses the Katsina Rush to help the rest of the team actually get there to get to the point, but it's not done after that. That Team Falcons are able to respond with their own. Hanbin with this Diva Mech has no fear going into the face of Vero to try to pressure them all off of the point. Even going head first into a small room with the Cassidy and the Brave is enough to body block them from getting to the point. And Team Falcons take Owcs 2-0.
Chiar nu mai era nevoie de presiune, putea să dea ulta să-i panicheze și sănătate.
How dominant Falcons are in this match.
Au luat prima rundă, au luat prima repriză. Ce dracu să zic?
Bit of a warm up there. He looks incredibly comfortable.
Bravo, prima repriză, Falcons. Ăla-i tati, așa vă vreau! Uite!
What angle will he be observing the monitor? But yeah, very dominant.
Yeah, it is. It's just they look good. And I mean, this is what you should expect out of a world-class team like Team Falcons. They have made very little changes to their roster from the 2024 season that they won, heading into the 2025 season where they have continued to be dominant. And so as Team Falcons look to be one of the favorites coming in, they might be the second seed in Korea for now, but it doesn't mean that they're not a threat to actually win the whole thing.
Yeah, Team Falcons, one of the big dogs, always pop off in major tournaments here as well. They always perform when the lights are brightest.
Au pus pariurile pe Twitch. Au pus pariurile pe Twitch, că nu vreau să văd. Au pus pariurile pe Twitch.
In this patch, obviously we're playing on the light patch.
Nu le-au pus.
The mid-season patch.
Nici acum nu le-au pus.
And Hitchcast, you know, I think we'll see some flexibility in this case. Nico, they decided to
Nici
go on a bit more of a
casted. Sunt pariurile pe puncte.
Composition here to try to rotate and
sunt pariurile alea pe puncte. Poți pariezi pe ce echipă să câștige.
Players of Falcons, but Merit, he was just able to sit back on the
Mamă, uite-te și tu cât de bine a făcut eco-ul lor, 12-0! 12-0, coaie!
Case that maybe you should have been on a Freya, for example. You know, try to get a couple of those shots onto Proper in the sky. You're not as big of a target when you're hit scan and you're playing that Freya because you're much harder to punish, for example.
Highlights.
So, Varel, a lot of interesting decisions coming out from them here on Ilios. Let's see what they got in store for map 2.
No, au jucat-o foarte bine, au jucat-o foarte bine. Bine, și Varel au jucat-o foarte bine, nu zic nu.
Well, that's why I might like to see us go to a map where we can really see this.
Cum să zic, și Varel a jucat foarte bine, dar chestia e că nu s-au putut... Nu au putut ține pasul cu line-up-ul lor, că având Brig cu... Bine, că ei s-au schimbat destul de târziu, s-au schimbat pe Brig. Chestia e că... Chestia e că Gen s-a schimbat destul de târziu pe Brig și că nu poți face absolut nimic împotriva lui Eco. Având în vedere că Eco poate să copieze, gen, să bage un al doilea atac sau așa, Brig n-are nicio șansă, mai ales dacă mai copiază un DPS. N-a avut șansă.
In an EMEA matchup, and both teams just like, okay, we're just gonna play Freya and Echo. Like, if you get rid of the Tracer, then we're going to be very happy to play
să rămână la line-up-ul vechi, erau, dacă nu mă înșel...
And so I definitely think we'll see more Freya and Echo as this tournament goes along. Echo, a hero we haven't really seen at all, to be honest, for the past couple of years, feel like, besides World Finals last year, of course, when it's all Mauga competition.
Acum ce trebuie să baneze Varel, ca să aibă măcar o șansă, trebuie să le baneze Echo. Că dacă nu banează Echo, nu au ce să facă. Sunt obligați să baneze Echo. Bun, și ce hartă aleg ăștia?
To see that as we
alege tot Falcon?
Sau Viet? We're going to Shambali Monastery. Talking about things that we haven't seen super often, Johnny. This is one of those maps.
Yeah, this is one of those maps that I think we'll see a lot of in this tournament as well. Me and Jake, we kind of talked about it on the desk in the pre-show. as well that I think this is how a lot of these series will play out throughout the tournament. It's just how the map pool makes sense, that those teams who have first map pick, who prefer the dive
cred că Falcon,
Ilios is the
deci cred
best
că
choice by
Falcon
far
banează
of the
100 în
ball
mie.
and But then,
Falcon
if you
banează
don't want
100
to
în
try
mie
to, pick
tot
your
Zarya
Dorados, if you're the team losing team on
nu
that
Kiriko,
one,
nu
and
Kiriko.
you don't feel
Ori
confident
Zarya,
on
ori
dive maps, then Shambali is an obvious choice for the second map, because not only do you deny Dorado from that team that
cred că trebuie să baneze iar Zarya.
but it's also pretty powerful in these kind of brawl compositions, and that is part of the reason we're seeing someone being so
Varel trebuie să baneze
We are
Echo
going to get a tank
neapărat.
swap as Hanbin comes out. We get a chance to see
Neapărat
someone
trebuie să baneze
come
Echo,
into
că
the
sunt
roster, and
gătiți.
I love this choice
Dacă
because I
ăștia nu
think
banează Echo,
someone
s-au
will
gătit.
actually have a very good matchup into the Ramatra. If that's the direction that we see Varel take with KSG, then someone can match that. Someone also has his actually also has Zarya, so like if you wanted to, you could also play that matchup, but someone is just so flexible. You have access to all of the main tank heroes. I don't know if you would want to bring out a Winston, but of course that's also a hero that someone is very well known for.
Yeah, no, he's incredibly flexible. But I think primarily this tournament, like you said, Zarya is an option, but primarily for someone it's going to be the Ramatra, right? It is an incredibly powerful hero in the meta right now. The survivability with the block is just incredibly powerful because you can just stand still, block, and retain that space. And space is obviously incredibly important in Overwatch, so if you have a hero that can control that space, like Ramatra, then it's obviously going to benefit you a lot of the time here. So, proper, taking a look at him right now, this is going to be another really interesting map for him when it comes to the flex DPS pool. Shambali, another map that can favor the Echo if need be, because there's a lot of verticality for the defense, which gives you a high ground advantage towards the other flex DPS player. A lot of buildings you can hide around, you can kind of sneak around and try to get a jump on the enemy backline. So if we're going to see more Echo, this will be another map for it.
How do you feel about
banează în continuare Plusio.
Because I think those are two other flex DPS that come to mind, especially when
cam asta ar fi singura opțiune, că nu dau seama. Bine, singurele două opțiuni. Ori banează Echo, ori banează Lucio în continuare și se joacă Ramatra. Dar să riscă
What do you
puțin.
prefer? I think some flex DPS players, they like to take a more aggressive approach, playing the Tracer, playing the Echo. But there are going to be a handful of teams in this tournament. I think they should play the Ramatra May, because that style suits them more, and they don't need to opt in to these highly mechanical flex DPS matchups instead. Now, that will be more the case on maps like King's Row, for example. You saw it come out from Kaneka in the previous matchup on New Junk City, and I think that's a really powerful map when it comes to the ice walls and such. Here on Shambali Monastery, I think there's just too much open air space, and it's too hard to get value from the wall. We could see it, we could definitely see it. I'm not counting it out, May, but I do think that the Echo is going to be a really good hero. And if you don't want to play the Echo matchup, then Tracer is actually a pretty solid pick as well, because at least...
Nu, Tracer nu e bună împotriva lui Echo.
Bring out those flex picks,
Tracer nu e bună împotriva lui Echo, niciun caz.
I'm really excited to see what he locks into.
Dacă vrei un hero care să
there used to be a member of Team
să o calce în picioare pe Echo, băgați-vă drept cu ceva de hitscan.
Played a lot of flex DPS heroes, Stalker,
Soldier, să se bage drept cu Soldier sau Soldier.
Unul din doi. Cred că Soldier dacă ar fi se bage, da. Flex DPS heroes, right? You bring in Merit, one of the best hitscan players in the world, who happens to be a free agent, and joined one of the best teams in the world, but that allowed Proper to free his hero pool up and play more of these flex heroes. So, last World Finals, all we talked about was how Stalker was coping off of the Echo and had tremendous amount of impact. But now for Falcons, in this tournament,
la Falcon poate au ei o ceva strategie și necesită să o baneze Polisa. Bă, da, Kiriko!
You got to see the bans that just came through. It's going to be Orisa and Kiriko. Orisa maybe a protect ban here, but I also could have seen that as like a maybe. I don't want to count anything out right now when we are just seeing the tournament meta for the first time.
Yeah, Orisa is a hero that, has been kind of an option when it comes to the brawl composition, especially like in the past, but Ramatra has been the stronger one as of recent. And especially with Orisa getting a bit of a nerf when it comes to the flex, the force break rather. It's going to be a very difficult hero to force and play, especially if you're trying to gain space. Like Orisa specializes more when it comes to the close corners, and Shambali, again, you're gonna have to walk up quite a bit of distance when it comes to an escort map like this. So Orisa, not really a preferred pick, I'd say. I'd say like what you said, it's more of a protect ban in this case, probably. And then the Kiriko ban is quite interesting as it comes out as well. Maybe trying to punish one of these backlines.
I mean, Fielder has loved playing the Kiriko. That's kind of been the flavor for Team Falcons, Kiriko Lucio. And what does that open you up to? Maybe that means we have to...
Da, nu, încă o dată, că e foarte ciudat că au banat Orisa, nu știu.
I don't really hate that on Shambali Monastery.
Oh, Fielder playing Baptiste, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah. So I'm here to see it all. As we head into map number 2 between Team Falcons and Varel. Falcons are leading this series 1-0. A win here on Shambali Monastery will send Varel down to the lower bracket where Team Falcons will move on to face Team Liquid. And as we load in, we'll get a chance to see what these two teams want to play.
First of all, I'm down for any snow map. I know there's a lot of people out there who vote for New Queen Street when it comes up in the ranked pool. Thank you. I just say thank you. I love all the snow maps, Shambali Monastery included. So shout out to all the snow map voters out there. But yes, very much looking forward to this matchup. And again, I can't wait to see how much we're going to see from the meta. Because it's been very much up in the air, you know. We just talk about, you know, what is the meta right now.
Că să bagă păpuși pe Queen Street, da? E bine și Shambali.
And the game is pretty balanced right now that allows you to do that.
I'm in awe of the snow. Now that you've said that, I'm like, wow, this map is very pretty. They need to reskin maps to have more snow.
Well, they kind of did that. They introduced like nighttime and, you know, sunset maps more. I love that.
Nighttime isn't snow.
Okay, but
what about rain?
I'm for for all that. As long as there's no bright sun that's covering my crosshair, I'm all for it.
Okay, cool.
All right.
More night mode.
Actually. Yeah, the double
tot lag de la ei.
flex composition from Varel, unsurprisingly, like they don't even want to play the Lucio to begin with, right? And we talked about it going into this matchup. It'd have to be Mimosa being subbed in if that was the case. So on this defense, they're going to set up with a pretty greedy backline. And the case for Falcons here is going to be, how can you take space to try to get on top of this backline? How can you not enable Varel to get so much value out of this Ilori and Baptiste in the first place?
Well, maybe one of those ways is thinking about something like Adventure, but I love Proper's choice of Tracer. It's going to be able to accomplish a very similar goal. If you can force out some of these cooldowns from this Baptiste and Ilari, it'll make them a lot easier to clean up with someone going over to that
Ilari defense, okay, bun.
Yeah, someone going over to the Diva is going to be able to contest this high ground because see this proper flank. He's already working around here and setting up the kill box together with someone.
I'll line up the bun. I'll line up Falcon. Oh, nu e Falcon, e Varel.
There was a bit of good response from Varel, though. They know where Proper is coming from. As soon as he saw that healing pylon broken, everybody turned their attention to at least say, hey, we know Proper is back there. Don't let him get too much of a flank onto us. But the fact that the Immortality field already came out here from the Baptiste, that's the go signal here for Team Falcons. And that's going to be a really great way for them to get the jump. You can see just how hard someone is working to try to get Pico's down. But that is a big KO onto the Diva with the mech gone. That's going to be a win here for Varel.
Yeah, that's actually huge. The pocket coming in there. And obviously the card was pushed a little bit. If you're Varel, you'd love to get this card pushed back a little bit longer so you can keep your positions here in the very first corner. But great job from Varel there being able to stay for long enough. And Team Falcons, again, they're going to have to set up these flanks. And it looks like Varel, they're going to abandon this initial position and instead set up for this second push.
Yeah, they can't stay in that room. That's a great way for you to just get collapsed on. So they do make the rotation back to the second defensive corner on this map. As KSG stands tall, we see a big dynamite, and the window from Varel might be great for them to be able to dig their heels into the sand. As they also get responded by fielders, this could also be a potential here to see the Captive Sun come out from Slay. If you see an opportunity to actually get enough Captive Sun down onto the members, while Diva's defense matrix is down, maybe this will help to stabilize the defense here for Varel.
De obicei cu Ilari cu ultimata te bagi pe healer.
But that's time for Slay to pop off, and you do at least respond with a kill onto Fielder. So, support gone from both sides, but
Dar nu mi se pare că Falcon are line-up destul de bun, nu mi se pare. S-a schimbat pe...
Yeah, the Soundwave is absolutely huge for the survivability of that squad, but still, a lot of time being brought here from Varel, but they need to get out safer, and Top Dragon trying to burrow and drill striking out here and actually to survive. This is going to be huge because KSG has the Annihilation. With the Nemesis form and the Annihilation, there's going to be so much
sustainability dacă se combină foarte bine cu
Varel that they'll be able to hold this corner. Ball comes in here from Merit to create an off angle, but KSG again should be able to live here for Varel, buy some time to re-engage. Oh, but Top Dragon goes down.
Yeah, that's not good. I mean, you would have loved to be able to have Top Dragon to be able to dish out damage alongside KSG, but the Annihilation is still good. You do get the slow onto the Diva, but where is the focus fire? Now that this Bob is gone, it's really going to be down on the members of Viral to actually get this defense together, and someone is just cowering in the corner. Knows with
Schimbă-te după Diva, coaie! Schimbă-te după Diva!
And Viral have done
Nu
it.
faci
That is
nimic!
another defensive win for them here on this
Te
final
rog eu,
corner of
schimbă-te de pe
point one.
Diva!
That's absolutely huge from Varel, that they're actually able to stave off Falcons here. Hunting proper in this very moment, but great job by KSG, holding that corner firm, not freaking out, not dying in that case. And the backline from Varel is getting so much value. They're hunting proper right now, but they can't allow Team Falcons to get all this space for free. See if this post bomb from Hopper can create some magic here with 15 seconds to go.
Oh, but this is not good. There is a collapse onto the Alari, and Slay is going to get the biggest pocket of all time from Cloud, but it is not enough to actually keep that Alari alive. Maybe there's still a healing pylon somewhere, but you have to see if there's enough out of this immortality field to keep Team Falcons at bay. Cloud does get a pick on the mirror, so that's one of the DPS down, as we do see a really big pick from someone heading into the backline, but you gotta make
Nici nu-mi dau seama că le-a reaguit stream-ul, nici nu-mi
sure you
dau.
don't abandon this card. There's enough time for KSG to come back and actually trade himself for the mech. So maybe with Slay coming back, you can actually try to get this pop off. But there's just too many members of Team Falcons left alive, and so that will be the first checkpoint. Let's hear how Team Falcons will approach the rest of this map.
상대 근데 라마 대놓고 버티는 거라 계속 돌아주긴 해야 될 때 이거. 이거 루시안 씨가 돌아볼래? 걸릴거면 근데 결국에 마지막에는 오른쪽이 좀 크게 가는 것밖에 없긴 한데 저거. 야, 그냥 계속 그냥 넓게 먹어봐. 이번에 넓게 먹다가 상대 갈리면 비트로 먼저 지르자 이번에는. 그냥 코너 세게 먹고. 네, 119 있어. 처음에만 세게 먹고 있어봐 이거 사이드. 왼쪽 노스케 아예. 나 딜러나면 가능한데. 기다려봐 화물 안 막아. 뺄게. 지하로 빼도 건데? 오케이. 갈렸어 나 괜찮아. 형 죽겠다. 양가 봐줄게. 와? 나한테? 아니 여기 하나 정면 나와 왼쪽 근데 윈도우 되게 이거 나 먼저 나갈게 전문 갈수 있나? 나 가능할 것 같은데? 난 가능 되게 들어가나? 나갈게 웨이신 실드 라마 앞에 이거 힘들어 좀 걸자 이거 힘들어 걸게 나가줘 살아라 1리 나한테야 1리한테 나한테 이거 나 괜찮아
No, Venture e... Banu. Ah, fuck, io c'è come muore.
이거 오른쪽 쳐볼까? 오른쪽 와봐. 와볼래? 근데 나만 떨어졌는데?
Unde dracu a vrut să fie dinamita aia? Dracu știi.
이거 벤처 늦게리긴 한데. 벤처 아니야 이거? 벤처 피해. 살아올래. 라운드. 대시 나한테 먼저 할게.
Să ducă să țină payload-ul în pula mea, payload-ul, ați uitat de el, dă-l dracu de payload. Trimiteți-l dracu pe Lucio în spate. Sau Tracer, că aveți Tracer, nu degeaba aveți Tracer.
For the first part of point two, that was disappointing. Team Falcons not able to make it past the second half of this point, and major credit to Viral for making that happen.
An incredible play from Slay with that captive stun, not allowing Team Falcons to set up with their amplification matrix in the first place. And Team Falcons, like they want to set up an angle here. Obviously, they don't want to fight uphill like they've been doing here in this very slope. But now, 10 seconds remaining. Proper will have to be on it and contest this space. Someone is going to get up to this Annihilation. That is going to provide a lot of survivability. But Cloud, with this amplification matrix, if he lives here, that's going to be so much damage coming out.
Hai, atingeți, să aveți cover time. Bravo.
Proper with so much pressure.
No, n-au mișcat.
Actually can't finish off this pick. It's going to be on Chio to help try to finish that off. And as we enter into the final part of this second half, I mean, there's still some comeback potential here for Viral. As the second point continues, we now enter into this open territory where someone does have the Annihilation, but can we actually see Viral come back with this big turbo out of spawn there from Slay onto the Lucio to Juno, and maybe set up for this amplification matrix?
Yeah, there's a lot of playmaking to be made here, and someone pushing aggressively want to take this space away from them, but Top Dragon finds two kills here on the Venture and going to be able to contest here. It's going to be Varel holding on the second point against Team Falcons, and I gotta say, I'm
Dude,
mightily impressed with what Varel are bringing here on
Absolutely, I mean, Nito absolutely just popped off on the Ash. It was pick after pick, and that's really where I felt like the second point they really struggled. Not only was Nico able to find the sidelines and also get those initial picks, but you also just saw how much difficulty there was for Proper to find an angle. On that second point, it's really challenging for that Tracer to actually get into the backline. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah, and essentially, I mean, he's playing the flanking game by himself in this kind of scenario. There's going to be little follow-up from the Ramatra. You know, Merrick will be able to poke from afar, but they're dealing with their own stuff in the Falcons backline with Top Dragon popping off on the bench here there as well, right?
I love that we see Team Falcons now switch it up a little bit. As they enter out of the spawns on the defense, we are going to see a change up in the backline. A little bit greedy from them as well when you take a look at the Ana and the Wuyong. This is Team Falcons feeling like they're really going all in and also making sure that they have enough healing to keep someone topped up long enough that the Zarya can actually win the fight as they extend.
Yeah, but this is actually a very interesting composition here from Falcons because Merit is going to play the pretty default hit scan role here, right? But Proper, you know, you will be able to, you will need to control some space on the flank. Top Dragon is going to be quite happy here to try to look for the surround, and Slay going back to spawn here, going to swap something up.
Oh, back to the Alari.
Yeah. I mean, recognizing here that there is little pressure from Falcons coming out, given that they're playing essentially a double hit scan kind of composition. So I'm going to be pretty happy playing the Alari. I know there's not going to be a Tracer coming my way. Now it's just a question of setting up those angles. You know, do you take the right-hand side in that room? You contest for a little bit here. Top Dragon throwing in right now. See if we can get to a safe place.
Varul a rămas la fel, ceea ce Ramatra a cam belit-o, pentru că au numai de range. De Ramatra nu cred că o să mai funcționeze aici.
As we start to look at Team Falcons getting set back up on this defense, it's a little awkward. They've got some of this high ground.
Nu cred că țin ăștia. Nu cred că țin.
Yeah, I mean, Varul, they're not doing too good now because Top Dragon is actually like getting killed off fairly early here. Nico getting punished this time. There hasn't even really been a team fight so far on this.
Să-l schimbe dracu pe Nico, că așa joacă ca pula.
Bine, obviously recognizing the threat from Top Dragon and finds the pick on Temerit here, give him credit. But again, losing this flex DPS player like Falcons are just no
okay, nu e double kill, i-a dat jos
straight up poke battle.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Proper with the Bola shot too. Picks off Slay, and with the anti onto KSG, it's easy pickings from there for Team Falcons to continue this defense. It has not looked easy for Varul to get past his first corner.
Yeah, and I mean, it's no big surprise, like, you're very reliant on this double flex support composition with a lot of poke, a lot of damage from afar, but you have no angle. Like, you have no space to operate, and you can see here, Nico, yeah, you're jumping around on the Ash, trying to zoom in, get a couple of headshots, but, like, there's no follow-up on this damage, right? Now walking up this very close lane on the flank, but again, you really don't have any vision over the map here.
God, and this lane is tough. I mean, at least the Bola shot is out. It's not going to be easy to just kind of land it down this choke point again. But as we see that nano boost go onto someone, that's going to be a lot of amplified damage that you just kind of have to back up from. But Varul, notice, someone doesn't have any more bubbles. It's easy now to finish off someone. You get Fielder out of the picture, and maybe now Varul having a player advantage can actually make some progress on this cart.
No, n-a stat bine cu bubble-urile,
dracule. So there's time for Team Falcons to come back and contest.
Yeah, Falcons still should be in a very good, comfortable position here because someone is coming up on this Graviton Surge and you should secure a lot of value from that. Captive Stun, really difficult ultimate to get the value from in this kind of a scenario here. Kind of need to hit it on the back line, but even that is quite tricky. Falcons setting up some nice flanks here as well. Proper, with the help from Chio, is going to secure an early kill onto Top Dragon here, and with a minute to go, you gotta be pretty clinical here if you're Varul.
Well, I mean, they're just going to use the Captive Stun now, but you can see the problems that they run into. The bubbles from someone able to provide enough sustain that Captive Stun finds no value. And we still see extra ultimates getting let loose. As the bobs come out from both Nico and Merit, Proper responds with a Bola shot. There's not really much that you get from that alone, but there's enough firepower from Nico that Merit is now out of the picture. Of having to use this title blast, but now he's all the way in the back line.
Let him cook. I mean, obviously there was a reason that Chio was in that back line, but it didn't work out. Thomas still has to grab. They're going to forfeit this very first point. I'm gonna be honest, that was a bit of a butchered defense from Falcons. They weren't really able to set up with this Graviton Surge in the first place after Merit was taken down. And now some free push for Varul, which is going to serve them quite well here as they get to set up with their double flex support composition. Let's listen into Varul.
dacă au... Ok, au gadgeturi, au... alea, mă... power-up-urile. Wuyang, nu știu dacă Wuyang-ul lor... Habar n-am că nu-mi dau seama dacă Wuyang-ul lor are percul ăla de wave să dea față-spate pentru anti-dive. Că ăștia au un diver, ceea ce o să ne fie problematic, mai ales pentru Wuyang. Mamă, dar ratează venture-ul lor, nu glumă.
To gain some ground here and find a steadfast defense. Minute 40 to go for Varel. Again, they're struggling to gain some positioning here with Proper holding this kind of flank angle here.
Dă-te înapoi, dă-te înapoi.
Testing a little bit of space, and again, they just want to set up these sidelines as Top Dragon goes for the flank.
KSP just uses this body to actually try to pressure Proper back. But as Top Dragon now finds an angle with the Venture, it's going to at least force Proper away again. So maybe some ground that Varel are able to garner. But as Slay goes for the captive son, is just trying to get for it's been waiting for so long. Here's the time to strike, and that's the perfect time to do it.
Huge!
It's a huge captive son,
Wait!
Le-a
dat team wipe!
that orange box of victory, and they're gonna claim it with a map win over Falcons. We're tying the series.
Hold up!
Varel
just took a map of Team Falcons? I mean, even the players are kind of in disbelief. They can't believe they just did that. That was amazing. That was massive. I thought he was gonna whip it. And out of nowhere.
There was just so much suspense and ramp up that I almost thought we had missed that window of opportunity for Slay to actually get something accomplished with it. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, everybody's tagged. Go ahead and go in and finish the kills.
Oh my god.
Holy
look at them, they're laughing. They're laughing. Wow. That was not the greatest map I've seen on the Team Falcons. Credit to Varel.
Coaie, și erau peste ei.
They made it work. This is a huge map.
Aveau scor peste ei de dracu. Bine, nu tot, au avut scor peste ei și tot au pierdut.
That's a huge achievement. Really well played here, and Top Dragon was able to make the Venture work on offense after struggling for the first couple of initial minutes. But Team Falcons, they had an opportunity to pull hold. And the team white just went away from it. They just fed.
Yeah, the fumble at that first point defense for Team Falcons, I felt like it just set them back so much actually going into that second point. Where, yeah, it came down to the wire and Varel were able to get the job done at the end of it, but it just felt like it was so much harder than it needed to be.
Yeah, that is an incredible map win from Varel. Impressive all around.
Banați odată Venture!
Being able to hold Falcons
Banați Venture în pula mea să nu mai aibă acces de dracu.
On first point and then getting the second point as well, like really well played from Varel. Just like I love the aggression that came out for them when they recognized they needed to be proactive. You know, there were a couple of times there where the Falcons, they probably, if they got the setup, if they got the staging in some of those team fights, they should have been able to win them. But Varel said, no, we're going to be proactive. We're going to captive stun aggressively. We're going to contest your backline and make things difficult. And it worked out. And Proper was denied on the Tracer.
I was so impressive. I mean, like, I love that, like, especially when you look at a player like Nico or any of these hit scan players, one window of opportunity is all
Nico
you
era
need.
Ash, nu?
And even though Nico was shut down quite a bit during that second map, you made it to the end, and that's really all that matters. If you get that payload over the finish line, and you've done your job as a hit scan player. And he was a huge part of the defensive hold that Varel ended up having on the second point as well.
Yeah, Falcons really struggled to get into the backline, and I think that's got to be a big thinker for this team now. Like, how did we not punish a backline of Batiste and Ilori? They should be able to clean up over that time, but they trusted in their module composition. They said, Proper, back over to the Tracer and you'll get the immortality field out, and then we can go ahead and punish them. But they just weren't able to get it done, and Top Dragon, he's
all smiles.
He's so happy, he's all smiles.
Yeah, Top Dragon had a tough time as well with the Venture on that second point attack, but it's kind of a similar problem with the Tracer. Like, you know, how do you actually get to that backline fast enough? But I think that Venture does have something on the Tracer that a couple of other heroes don't, and that's just verticality access. You could just use your drill dash to actually like pop up over the side.
Yeah, I mean, the staging was really good from Top Dragon in that he got to the position required in the end to do a good cycle with his abilities and put pressure on the Falcons' backline. And I think you saw a few times there when Varol won teamfights on the offense, it was because they timed the aggression between the front line and Top Dragon putting pressure on the Falcons' backline. And that is what you get out of Venture. It's like really reliable, so at least get into the backline once, put pressure on an Ana when
de ce crezi că și ei ce dracu să gândesc să baneze? Banează Kiriko. Omule, Kiriko n-are nicio treabă.
And didn't get the healing required to stay up.
Că Kiriko stă în backline-ul lor, nu în backline-ul vostru. Nu vă strică cu absolut nimic. 1-1. Uite-te și tu. Au pierdut prost runda asta. Bine, repriza. Mamă, joacă la push.
Sometimes that's enough.
Aici sunt curios.
Sometimes that's enough.
La push trebuie să baneze neapărat Venture.
As the rest of your team is able to follow up on the true
Falcon trebuie să baneze neapărat Venture.
Wow. I mean, Varol, they really are all smiles right now, though. Tied 1-1 in a 1-2. This third map is going to decide who moves forward. Team Liquid is waiting on the other side of this match for the winner, and that's still going to be a very tough opponent, but imagine if Varol secures this.
Look, they're tied up. We've seen them win a match. So who am I to say
băgați-l pe Hanbin că someone nu e bun deloc.
What's stopping them from winning two? It is going to be a little bit harder.
Să schimbe naibii tankul că
get their own map pick and
având pe ăsta pe someone, nu, să-mi bat piciorul. A jucat decent, dar nu mai bine decât Hanbin. Părerea mea. N-a jucat la fel de bine.
Hanbin was just a monster on that first
N-a jucat la fel de bine.
That map did not look close. When we look at how much difficulty Varol had actually maneuvering around this aggressive diva from Hanbin, I think that's something he can absolutely bring to the table and make this final map securely Team Falcons win.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what map we're going to actually, because I think they have quite a few options. Obviously, I think the number one goal here for Falcons to be just to make it difficult
prezicerile mele pentru ban. Gen, ce prevăd eu că o să baneze Venture și cu ori Mei, ori Lucio. Nu cred că Lucio, nu cred că banează Lucio. Deci o să baneze Venture cu, cred că Ramatra? Venture cu Ramatra. Da, Runa Sapi. Aici trebuie să baneze Ramatra neapărat. Ba nu, că pe Runa Sapi mai e și cazul de ăsta, de pereți de Lucio. Deci nu, Venture cu Lucio, ultimul meu call. Venture cu Lucio să baneze.
Really confident on. And now I can't wait to see what Hanbin's got in store, because he's got a few different hero choices if he'd like. Obviously, we speak a lot about someone's flexibility, but I feel like Hanbin has really picked it up in Overwatch 2 as well in this 5v5 scenario.
Aici o opțiune bună pe suport să joace Ana. Ramatra și Tracer, ok.
Format, but now being able to pick up some
Tracer nu m-am așteptat.
Other heroes. Going to be the Ramatra ban from Falcons.
Tracer nu prea m-am așteptat să o baneze. Mă așteptam mai mult Venture, ca gen.
Ban from Varol. That's gonna take the Tracer out.
Dar de ce Tracer? Că Venture e mai periculoasă decât Tracer.
And this is a map that I think the Tracer is even more impactful. So now where will Proper want to go? I think this could be a map where you could see the Echo. I think Genji could also make some type of statement as well.
Genji niciun caz. Am văzut playerii de Genji de pe ziua de astăzi ce-au făcut. S-au pișat pe el de meci.
How do you pair the tank synergy with a Genji in that case? Top Dragon, I think can quite confidently just stick to the Venture if that is the hero of choice. No need to make it too complicated here. And honestly, you don't really need to opt in to the
meciul atunci când au jucat cu Genji, dar a fost gen meciul trecut.
You can just play the Venture and put pressure on the Falcons' backline.
Când i-a dat swap, i-a dat lui Viper. Viper a dat fumble complet cu Genji.
From Falcons, given that they have the first ban.
Acum vedem ce joacă Falcon. Da, o să trească să dau sau? Dau acum un refresh să vedem. Dau acum un refresh repede. O să mă... ok, n-a început runda, e bine.
Tank choice, but also now how do KSG, Team Varol actually respond to that and bring something to the table that can either stand tall or beat it? And since that Ramatra is gone,
dacă Falcon joacă un flanker.
All right, I'm gonna say the hero name once. I'm just gonna put Mauga out there.
Hai, frate.
I'm just gonna say the hero name once. I'm not saying we're going to see a lot of it, but it's an option with the Ramarker ban coming out if you don't feel comfortable playing the story.
Dacă și-a luat Falcon Mauga, o decizie cam proastă.
You were thinking about it, but you didn't want to say it.
I was thinking of, but I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to put it out into the universe. So I'm glad that you took that one for us, Johnny. Thank you for that.
Well, I think with the Tracer ban as well, you know, like Genji, Mauga, there's some scenarios where they pair quite well when it comes to the aggression and the cardiac overload.
Yes.
Like the cage.
Trebuie să aibă cage, ambii trebuie să aibă ultimatele.
And I think it suits Runasapi pretty well.
Then maybe we get to see Top Dragon Pharah.
Okay, well, let's not look. I know last year we were cooking a little bit with playing Pharah on Runasapi, but I don't think we need to go there in this case.
Oh, come on. But if Mauga is a part of the mix, I do think that we should prepare ourselves to maybe see some type of Pharah counter pick. Or maybe even just like play your own Mauga and play the Pharah with it.
Okay, no Maugas on the field.
No, niciun Mauga.
That's all. We don't have to talk about Mauga anymore.
Thought experiment, but you know, put a little stopper on it because we might come up later on in the World Finals.
Good.
Who knows? But for now, you're right. At the moment, it's going to be Hanbin locking in onto the Zarya and KSG, the Diva, as the other pick that we have seen KSG
Bă, las-o, dracu.
for on Team Barrel.
Yeah, and this is going to isolate the target with the defense matrix, preventing those heals and try to get an early man advantage in one of these
Așa,
fights.
perfect.
And we're going to have to pay attention to this Sojourn matchup as well. Both Nico and Mara locking into this pick means that this
Ambii și-au
Sojourn
luat
could be
Sojourn,
explosive.
vedem care e targetar mai bun.
Longer sight lines that you can play around with.
Deci ambii au aproape mirror, mai puțin tankul. Deci toți joacă aproape aceeași chestie, mai puțin tankul și healer-ul.
It's getting a little messy right now.
Yeah, it's getting a little messy.
Messy.
Barrel is doing a good job of rotating. They recognize they don't have that speed, and so they need to keep their backline safe. So Slay can open up the fight in a 5 versus 4 situation now, or Barrel. And Nico with another one.
Wow, that's going to get Barrel off to the right foot. As Slay picks up another pick onto Fielder, it's just going to be cleaning up the pieces so that Barrel can actually make some progress.
Le-au dat team wipe deja.
This first fight, Varel has already done a number and
le-au dat deja team wipe.
54% towards a title blast.
Yeah, they already have a support ultimate advantage here. It's not a big one, so we'll have to wait and see here. This is going to be a tricky corner to round here. But Top Dragon with a huge first pick again.
What is going on right now? Proper, enemy number 1 has fallen first in both of these fights so
deci,
far.
Deci nu, Proper și la muie, Proper trebuie să schimbe. Hai, frate, fiți ar stream-ul ăsta. Că asta nu e de la mine niciun caz, de la stream-ul lor.
It's absolutely huge that Varel gets to round that corner with their double flex support lineup.
Nu, Proper trebuie să se schimbe. Proper trebuie să dea ulta să se schimbe sau nu mai dă nimic.
They can't get any momentum whatsoever. Looking for the long rotate here, trying to herd Varel away from this off angle, and that is the right thing to do. You want to minimize the amount of angles that Varel can poke from in this instance. But it's taking a long time, and Nico finds another one of the Geo.
They're just
aveți drept cu Sojourn, de ce nu ține Sojourn pe Diva?
The backline down for Team Falcons. And while the bot has moved back a little bit, it's not going to be much longer before Varel finishes off the DPS of Team Falcons and continue to make progress. And this is where things are going to really start to get interesting because we've got ults on the board.
Yeah, we have ults on the board here, and Varel, they should realistically push up here and make things really difficult, but Hanbin is already back on.
Lua stream în cioacă, că deja e ridicol.
Fielder coming up with that Kitsune rush, and that's going to be great for getting some space here. Top Dragon, okay, you're actually going to be solo grab here. I would say that's a lot of value for Varel. They got out the Kitsune rush and the Graviton surge.
Yeah, they do lose the mech, but you know, Varel's just
I-au dat
gonna
decât
try
în
to
spate, dar nu
reset
așa,
that one
trebuie
really
scape
quick.
drept.
Might be a little
De
bit tough
Kiriko,
though,
că
given
are
that
ulta.
KSG was so far away
Are și
from the
diva ulta.
edge, so just has to get killed. But yeah, I mean, Tidal Blast to put onto Top Dragon, just so you can get the tectonic shock, and you get
să dea odată Proper ultimata aia să se schimbe, că deja mă enervează.
just reset in the neutral. Team Falcons, they do start to get a win strung together.
Se face ceva anti-flank.
But it's still going to be a tough road for them.
It's going to be a tough road for them, but that is a really bad late stagger from Slay, which again enables Falcons to round this corner without having to drop the sound barrier in the first place. Varel now, they have the Kitsune Rush on their own, they have the hoverclock with the high ground advantage. They should be able to contest quite easily here.
But we do see the overclock popped from both Nico and Merit. As Proper tries to get a flank, it will be Merit that finishes off Top Dragon. And with Proper, with another pick onto the Varel backline.
Îmi iau înapoi cuvintele, îmi retrag cuvintele ce am zis despre tine.
To no avail. Team Falcons, they do end up winning the fight and they will secure this checkpoint.
Îmi retrag toate cuvintele pe care le-am zis față de Proper. Haide, frate.
Time for the bot to move forward there, hitting the checkpoint. And that was a lot of ultimates expended for Varel. You kind of feel like they'd have to win that very fight because now Falcons, as they move upwards here and contest this high ground, it's going to make it difficult for Varel to secure value with this Wu Yang, with this Kiriko. Top Dragon can help contest in this scenario.
O să facă combo de la nesimțit de se bagă Sojourn cu Yang. Yang e de ultimata pe Sojourn și intră în ei.
Bit more damage onto Hanbin.
Sau Venture.
Forced out one of the personal bubbles, but not much else.
Deci nu, ce i-ar strica pe Falcon ar fi lipsa de bubble-uri de la Zarya. Zarya trebuie să ține consistent bubble-urile, că dacă nu ține bubble-urile au cam pus-o. Bine, nici chiar așa, dar prins ideea. Că nu prea are healer consistent, o are pe Kiriko și pe Lucio. Lucio e decât healer overtime și ar fi greu.
Oh, wow, they really pulled this one back, did Falcons, after a huge deficit early on.
Stai, au luat înapoi. Futu-vă stream-ul în gât și cu calitatea voastră. Așa. Au luat înapoi. Au luat înapoi, nu te cred.
They really needed to get a pick there with Top Dragon jumping in on the venture, getting the story a pocket, but it was not enough without the ultimates. Now Varel, they're gonna be forced to commit a couple of ultimates here to
please, toți banii mei spă voi.
Some of the bubbles have been popped though already though from Hanbin's side. And with the Tidal Blast and the Kitsune Rush from Cloud, maybe this is territory that you can take. But you see the backup from Team Falcons.
Falcon are avantaj, e ok, e ok.
They don't want to fall victim to an open Kitsune Rush like they did to Varel.
Yeah, but they're quite happy to play this like very straightforward lane, right? Make it difficult for Varel to walk
nu
up
convec.
here.
Dacă atât să stai strong pe defense, a ultimata, să o aștepte pe Venture. Trebuia să aștepte futu-ți gâtul tău!
Can they secure the fight win?
A dat-o și în sânge, a dat în sânge ultimata aia.
And so that's going to be an ultimate that Team Falcons cannot use. Top Dragon's gonna go in with the Tectonic Shock, finish off at the DPS, and now Varel, they're gonna be the ones to strike back. With this Graviton Surge still being held onto from KSD,
le-au dat aproape team wipe. Nu-i bine, nu-i bine, nu-i bine.
Team Falcons do have a lot of ults to answer this.
Yeah, they do have a lot of ults to answer this. And realistically, Merit should secure the
Zarya
high
lor
ground.
să pregătească să dea ulta. Odată ce dă Zarya lor ulta, să se pregătească Lucio să dea. Deci dacă fac asta, dau save. Vă zic eu că dă save.
I'd almost give this face up. But it's going to be an
E bătut în
aggressive
cap.
soundbarrier from Tio actually, as Proper goes
Ok,
forward
nu-i
with Venture.
chiar bătut în
I mean, the
cap, că a
Graviton Surge
salvat cât
actually
de
does get a lockdown onto Hanbin, but with Merit also going to be adding DPS value with his overclock. If it wasn't going to be the Tectonic Shock, then Merit is certainly going to get the job done.
bun.
With
Team wipe,
Hanbin
team wipe,
having
team
so
wipe,
much
team kill,
charge,
bravo.
It's going to be another team wipe, and the bot moving back into the middle ground.
Yeah, Falcons keep controlling
trebuie
with
să mai
3
țină
minutes
un
to go, and
push.
every ultimate from Varel now is
Sau nu.
so critical. You need
Două
to extract
push-uri
some value.
și dacă pierd unul dintre push-urile alea, trebuie să dea înapoi un defense de la strong. Deci, un push și un defense.
You need a big play from Nico.
Deci trebuie să țină, de fapt, asta ar veni oarecum ambele defense-uri, dar...
Look at this, well Nico does go in with the overclock, and as Fielder uses the Kitsune Rush, it's going to be one way to make Nico power slide back. Proper sees the opportunity to go in with the Venture to try to get
okay, nu m-am gândit la asta.
further back from the line of fire. But now it's time for Team Falcons to step up to the plate. As Varel do sneak a bot away just a little bit,
Dai bubble.
they need to make up a lot of meterage. And with both of those ultimates kind of falling flat, we're getting a reset here with these Zaryas.
Yeah, Nico actually finds a pick on the Tio here. This could be the opening you were looking for. Realistically, You want to keep the support ultimates here and finish out the fight, and they do so. That is really big for Barrel to be able to keep this Kitsune Rush.
I mean, with 2 minutes left,
Nu, se retragă. Dacă n-are Kiriko, se retragă. E moartă team wipe.
When you know you've got that tectonic shock coming back in from Top Dragon.
Trebuie să mai reziste un push, atâta. Dacă rezistă defensul ăsta, rezistă defensul ăsta, dă counter push, trebuie să mai reziste puțin la overtime și gata. Atât, au luat punctul, au câștigat ronda.
Should be able to pocket Top Dragon really hard here on the venture. With no support ultimate on the side of Falcon.
Deci Falcon trebuie să tragă cu dinții.
Really steaming forward. They're looking good here.
I mean, with the Kitsune Rush already, I mean, Nico is just going to get 2 railgun charges into Team Falcons and go from there. Merit is at least able to take out his counterpart, but for not much longer. This is going to be Viral.
Asta ce e? Chat-ul lor? Asta nu e de la mine, e de la ei. Cred, nu? Da, e de la ei. What the fuck? Le-a murit sound-ul. Da, uite, muted. Da, e de la stream-ul lor. Bro! Le-a murit audio. Cred că au vrut să dea pe team chat să vadă cum se descurcă și după au realizat, oh shit. We fucked up. How fucked up is fucked up. That's fucked up. Bro, ce dracu au făcut? No way. YouTube audio as well. Ah, și pe stream-ul de pe YouTube. Nah, bro, crazy. Și uite cum urcă vizualizările, că mai devreme era 36.000. Ok, continuăm și fără audio. E bine. Dar se repare drept cu audio acum după meci. Au luat meciul, mă. L-au luat. Nu mai au comeback ăștia. Trebuie să atingă să aibă un contest pentru overtime. Așa. Opa, nu! Yeah! Le-a revenit pentru o secundă și pe urmă nu e coexistent. No. Gata, hai.
The rest of Team Falcons do have to come back to actually get that recontest.
Barrett?
But in time from Barrel here to actually
contest,
come back.
But I think
Team
defense.
Falcons have done it. They have stopped Team Barrel from actually getting
Nu mai e, gata. GG!
Bravo,
mă!
Win this series 2-1.
Bravo, mă!
Are you serious? How did it get that close? Unbelievable performance from Farrell to make it that close in the first place.
Bravo, mă!
The reigning world champions. They close things out in the very final moment, but not without being severely questioned there on their performance in the first place. Wow.
Not without some blood, sweat, and tears, Johnny. That was
insane.
A very close match, it felt like. I mean, Matt, did you think that we would see Viral take a map here?
Ăștia au votat deja, Fiera, am ratat votările să pariez. Nu mai pot să pariez, băgam-mi și piciorul. Bravo, mă!
Yeah, it's just been so amazing to see Viral step up to the plate like this. And I think, Johnny, it gives me a lot of hope that heading into the rest of this bracket, we are going to end up seeing maybe Viral like get an upset that we weren't expecting.
I mean,
statisticele. Uite-te și tu!
Can you imagine?
Era în decădere enormă. Aveau scor mai mic decât ăștia și tot au câștigat.
I can't believe we just witnessed that.
It was just what a great match. I don't really have many words for it.
I don't have words.
Comeback-ul a fost crazy. Comeback-ul a fost
pleasantly
fucking amazing.
At the performance coming through from Viral. I think maybe if there had been a better sightline onto the Graviton Surge. It's tough because with so few members, or maybe even like just the sightlines not being quite right, that Graviton Surge wasn't able to actually get finished off. Even in those final moments, though, I mean, Falcons, like, I'm very curious to hear what they have to say because I wonder what they will say about that match.
I mean, if you got championship aspirations,
nu zic nimic.
You can't.
N-are ce să mai zică.
You can't win with those kind of performances from Team Falcons. Like, they have their sights way higher than almost losing to Varel. We went into this matchup, and I was, pretty harsh on Varel in the first place, because that was quite honestly what we should have seen in this matchup. It should have been a storm from Falcons, but instead they narrowly escaped with a very close victory here.
All right, well, we'll get our questions answered as we've got an interview with one of the players from our winning team, with Danny. So let's hear what they have to say.
Thank you so much, Nekra. Yes, I am here with Chio from Team Falcons. Chio, I gotta say, that was pretty close. I mean, Varel was a tough fight for you guys. Did you guys come in and did you guys expect this to be such a close match? 일단 솔직히 말해서 힘들 뻔했어요, 그죠? 그리고 지금 제가 봐도 치오 선수도 좀 이렇게 좀 힘들어 보이는데 베럴이랑 경기가 이렇게 좀 어려울 거라지 예상을 좀 하셨는지?
Bro, mai avea puțin și cânta.
이 정도라고 예상을 못했고 조금 힘들겠다 정도 예상했었는데 이 정도로 준비를 많이 했을 줄은 몰랐습니다.
I'm very surprised as well. I know that they're a great team, but I feel like they prepared a lot, and I feel like, that's why the match was so close. Do you feel like, sorry, give me, I think our producer's talking to me. Repeat that one more time, please. Oh, yeah. All right. Sorry, guys. Next question. I feel like, was there any, a player from Varel that sort of gave you personally a hard time throughout the match, 치오? 두 번째 질문으로는 이번 바랄 경기에서 좀 치오 선수에게 제일 어떻게 보면 경기를 좀 힘들게 했던 선수가 한 명을 뽑자면 누가 있을까요?
상대 팀의 이제 탑드래곤 선수가 좀 많이 깔거롭게 해가지고 게임을 좀 많이 힘들었던 것 같아요.
It has to be Top Dragon. Definitely, he
Top
gave
Dragon.
me a very hard time. I feel
Puteam
like
să jur.
because of his plays,
Top Dragon, nu, că Top Dragon a fost un fucking gremlin pe Venture.
Tomorrow you guys are going up
Să-mi
against Team
piciorul. Top
Liquid
Dragon
here. What is your
juca pentru măsa cu
thoughts
Venture.
on that team? 자, 내일 경기에 이제 팀 리퀴드 경기가 있는데 치오 선수가 보셨을 때는 팀 리퀴드는 좀 어떤 팀인가요?
바레일이랑 좀 비슷한 결이 있긴 한데 그래도 조금 더 이제 뭉치는 조합을 좀 더 좋아하는 팀 같아요.
They're pretty similar to Varel. They do like to really group up, and I feel like that's the sort of the play style that we're gonna see against Team Liquid. All right, that is it for the interview. Chio, thank you very much. Before we go, can you do me a favor? 일단 부탁 하나 할게요. 이거를 같이 좀 읽어줄 수 있을까요? 자, 여기서 R,
R,
그다음에 I,
S, E.
그죠? Rise. I think I made it pretty clear. All right, back to the desk.
Thank you so much, Danny. As,
Dai mă, dracu.
he shows off all the nice little fancy letters there.
Hai să dăm un refresh la live.
More now that you've had a second to step away. Is it more about Varel's performance or Falcons, do you think, here, as we jump into the highlights from map number 1?
All right. Falcons backline should not be absolutely flabbergasted by one venture going in and just creating a ton
Nu,
of
tot
space
backline-ul de la Falcon a fost literalmente
for that team.
distrus de
One of the best
Top Dragon.
players in the world essentially wasn't able to stage properly to deal with the backline of Varel.
Deci Top
and
Dragon
is kind of relying on both of those players to help set him up and get value in that front line, right?
Top Dragon
I
a fost un
think it was
coșmar
fairly
pentru
shocking
Fielder și
that
Kio.
Varel was able to get this close to winning it in the first place. And here, this final flight, Falcons were just dropping ultimates. It was nothing, just please let us win this fight. They kind of lost all coordination to the end. It almost felt like they were choking in the moment, just able to come across the finish line.
Well, Rose, I mean, as we take a look at the bracket here, so we can zoom in maybe on that upper bracket here in just a second, and really kind of focus. Falcons will go up against Team Liquid, but you also have to feel pretty decent about Varel now in the lowers.
I agree with you. I mean, this match is going to be really hard. I think you already heard from Chio that they know sort of what to expect from Team Liquid. But as we've entered into the World Finals, a lot of these teams have taken their boot camps prior to the event and have really leveled up. And I think that's why you turn attention to a team like Varel, to a team like Team CC, who also made their match versus T1 so close, and you just can't count out any of these teams.
Yeah, and we have half of our upper semifinals already set now, right? So you have Twisted Minds versus T1, and then TL versus Falcons. Johnny, just looking at those two first initial matches, what speaks to you?
I am just... These matches were way closer than I anticipated going into them. So I am probably blown away now. And if you're Team Liquid, you're like, all right, Team Falcons, they're bleeding.
Oh.
We got a shot in this one. The #1 seed from North America. I think they're feeling a little bit better now going up against in that matchup.
Well, you know what's also wild is the two matches we have remaining today are the two that we kind of thought would be probably the closest of the day, right? I think a lot of us kind of thought that maybe these first two would be pretty quick. But Rose, I mean, the next two games, I mean, the next one, Alcatia, Geeke, I mean, that's going to be wild.
I might change my press. I just don't know anymore. Maybe I'll just take a coin and flip it, because at this point, I do feel like all of these teams, they're giving us just such great shows. And I'm just really excited to see that, because maybe this Alcatia Geeke game, maybe it is just that close. And same with like Team Peps later today taking on
deci de-abia aștept meciul cu Peps.
It's tough to say.
I think the
deci de-abia aștept
in combination with...
Eu de-abia aștept cel mai mult meciul cu Peps. I unmute iar.
How you guys saw? Remember the link? Remember?
We're making so many hints in this segment that, like, if you don't get it, like,
yeah, I mean, come on, you have to
get on it.
Look, yeah, if you don't get it, what are you doing? I mean, come on now. Like, you know, we're giving hints. Danny and
Băgă-le-i.
you know, she read a word, right?
I love the Overwatch World Cup.
I love the Overwatch
I do
World Cup
too.
as well.
Yeah.
You have a chance to get there. You need the secret word. You might have seen it already.
You also could see Team Japan in person.
It's true. Yeah. Yeah, you might get to see this like Varel team kind of come back, you know, with Team Japan at the Overwatch World Cup. But that is 2 matches down, 2 more to go. And if these next two are anything like our first two, you do not want to go anywhere. We got Alcatia versus Geeke coming up right after this.
Mergi piciorul, nu mai nimeresc priza. M-am făcut ea de priză, nu mai nimeresc priza. Coaie, nu mai nimeresc priza, sunt prost. M-am pus mai de priză. Ah, fuck, am lovit microfonul. Băga mea și piciorul în ea de priză, nu mai nimeream.
A whisper.
Piciorul transpir din calea afară, coaie! Am lovit și microfonul din greșeală. Transpir, dă zici că sunt... Nu contează. Nu contează. Să-mi dau puțin, ia să-mi pornesc tastatura, așa? Să-mi dau puțin microfonul mai încet. Cam așa.
Where warriors can lay down their weapons and join forces with one another.
Bun, următorul match este...
A new future with endless possibilities.
Bun, ia stai, următorul match e cine e? Esports. Alcadașian și Geeke Esports. Ăsta e matchul următor. O secundă să-i las mesaj. Deci, Alcadașian. Cadșian, nu Cadașian, Cadșian. Cadșian sau Geeke. Tot nu spune că nu se mai aude iar de la ei. Na, nu se mai aude iar de la ei, că nu e de la mine. Audio. Da, uite, tot de la ei. Li se strică audio destul de frecvent, nu știu de ce. Li se tot strică audio la ăsta lor. Anyone know when Sakura skins will come back? Ah, credeam că se referă la echipă. Credeam că se referă la echipa Sakura. 30 de secunde. Să dau un refresh până una alta, ca să știu că suntem fix când trebuie, cum trebuie. Audio tot e spart. Așa e greu când lucrezi la Blizzard, ce pot să zic? E foarte greu când lucrezi la Blizzard să menții un fucking audio. Un amărât de audio. Bă, nu știu, mie mi-e puțin milă că n-a reușit să ajungă în finală Team Sakura. Team Sakura era o echipă bună, mă mir că n-au ajuns. Da, bro, și audio ce ați făcut s-a pișat pe el la finală și nu... Bă, să mă piciorul, când am fost la semifinală, m-am uitat la live la semifinală, n-avea un pic de problemă live-ul lor cu audio. Coaie. Dar de la mine nu e nimic, uite. The audio guy, tell the audio guy to stop falling asleep on the job. Deci, ciuciu audio, că ăștia n-au... Și nu-i de la mine, nu-i de nimic, pic de sunet. Gata, mă, bravo! S-a trezit! S-a trezit, bă, tipul de la ingineria de sunet. S-a trezit în final, dă-l dracu. Bună dimineața, la Moș Ajun!
Absolutely. I mean, this is just our first 2 matches of the day. We still have 2 more matches to bring you. As we look forward to our 3rd series, we've got Alcatia versus GK. And now this is going to be a really fun clash to watch because EMEA versus NA. And even though GK comes in as the 3rd seed, I think this is going to be a pretty good clash, especially if the first part of our day is anything to look at.
This one is going to be a banger. I got faith in this one. I don't know what you're getting with the last one. Could go anywhere.
Deci,
but this one,
chiar nici nu știu ce echipă să votez. Pe ce echipă să mă bag.
It's going to be 2-1 down the wire. I don't know. But I think it's going to be a really back and forth match. And like with the bracket and how it works, and like whoever loses this one's in really down.
Deci chiar nu știu pe cine să votez. Alcadașian sau GK?
A lot of stakes on this one, and I also think this is going to be really interesting because these are both teams who relish the prospect of being completely unique, unpredictable opponents.
Yeah.
Katsuya, you know, one map they're going to be on Sim, the next map they're on Pharah, the next map they're playing like a classic Tracer style. You just don't know what they're going to bring. And then, you know, GK has done very much the same in North America. They've been a team that's willing to play Lifeweaver of all things, right? Has been willing to push the limits on what's possible here in Overwatch. And they have
joacă Weaver pe Lifeweaver pe turnament.
Hard hit scan roll. Like,
am auzit bine.
This guy is lights out on land.
Lightweaver pe turnament.
Well, while you two have set up the macro narrative beautifully, let's dive in a little bit deeper to the 2 teams that are going to be competing. Starting first with Alcatia. I mean,
Alcatia. Iarăși audio. Bă, dă-l dracu de audio. Bă, să-mi bag pula în el de audio. Cred că am eu audio.
I would take a look at this roster, and I do think that there are certain heroes that stand out as kind of the go-tos for this team. They're still going to bring a lot to the table today.
For me, it's like post-Champions Clash. And Champions Clash, they were there, and they were still competitive, right? They go to Game 3 with the Falcons in the early round. The team has changed, though, when Ziad became like the full-time tank and you bring Kellex into the mix. It has just felt like a different team where, you know, Ziad, one of the best tanks, really, you know, especially with some of the tanks in the field, right? With like the D.Va in the mix, the Zarya, the Ramatra that we're seeing early on. He has been phenomenal. And, you know, I think we may sleep a little bit on checkmate. Like, just because he's been playing so much Sim throughout the year, you're like, oh, like, you know, what's going on with checkmate?
Și sabul lor e gen următorii.
Yeah, these hyper-flexible DPS are crucial, and I think Alcatia there's still some question marks for them. I think they didn't have their best showing ever in the MEA. That second place is going to bite for them, I think, in the Esports World Cup, where they looked so strong all tournament long and then really fell off in the grand finals. And a performance like that can stay with you. So I think Owcs, they want to start this tournament off strong and really put their foot down, make this a dominant win. Honestly, I think GK is kind of a tough draw for them round one because it's a team that, you know, like I said, Owcs want to be the team setting the tone, you know, playing all sorts of different counter comps, knowing what their opponent's going to bring and having a perfect strategy to respond to it. For GK, I'm like, how do you can't predict what they're going to play. I mean, and so for Owcs, this is going to be a test of their ability to adapt and at sometimes maybe being on the back foot, how do they respond to like a creative strategy, a creative band out of this NA team?
I will say another thing that I think is a strength for Owcs is Labda. When you take a look at Labda's performance, especially in the hit scan role as of this last stage, if you can have a consistent hit scan performance, I think that's something that is going to give you a bit of a leg up in the competition. And as we take a look at this GK roster, I do think that there is going to be a very tough opponent on the other side. And when you take a look at this roster, you talk about flexibility, I do think that this is one of those teams that also kind of has it all. And as a reminder to everybody watching, this is a team that ended up having a great performance on the international stage. Taking a look back at the Champions Clash, this is the roster that played under the Nightmare banner that ended up being able to get third. And like,
that guy,
Riz, right?
I mean, that is ultimate Riz right there. And you mentioned the hit scan battle, right? Like, you know, Labda, very good. I mean, lethal, phenomenal. I mean, you know, like, when they've had their like top tier performances, it's like lethal popping off, and he is like a old school type off the couch, just you know, get me in the server, and I'll just start, you know, dominating. And that's where I would be scared if I was like Owcs for this series, is like UV has been very good on like the Wuyong and other types of like, you know, flex supports throughout the final stages here in NA. And then Lethal has that type of ability to kind of like take over a game, which could negate like Labda a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's going to be maybe the biggest question mark of all, where we've seen, you know, core hit scan look really strong this tournament. And we've talked a lot about, okay, what is the flex DPS going to go to with Tracer nerf? But ultimately, a weaker Tracer means more opportunities for your hit scan players to take over the game and just have a yet more dominant performance. We saw that, Matt, in the first game of the day that we casted, where Proud came out really strong, and that was kind of a match-defining performance. And now for Lethal versus Labda, that's going to be a pretty crucial ask for both teams. I do think maybe you give the edge to Labda from the team play perspective, where they love these rush comps, but DK, man, if they can take this to somehow a dive direction, could be really spicy.
So then what are the predictions for this match? Who do you think is going to win?
I have Owcs. Maybe it's because I just casted so much EMEA. Oh wow, we all went with Owcs. Okay, so that's a. I would have thought somebody would have taken a flyer on.
I honestly, I was very close to taking DK. I think this Symmetra stuff is legitimately very strong, and I think it's not played enough in North America. And I think Owcs are going to be able to leverage that, especially in a first to two series. You know, there's just some map picks, especially go down the stretch, that there's a lot of crazy comps. And I think, you know, honestly, DK have not really been informed as of late, right? They're the third seed out of NA, which is, I think, their weakest performance of the year in North America.
It is.
They've been like #1 and #2 pretty consistently, and not even being able to get past Space Station here. So maybe GK have come back into form, was talking with the players a bit before the tournament. Team that wants to go back to that grand finals, get another drop.
I do think that it's hard to argue with the success that we have seen Owcs get in the recent days. But I want to propose one more question. How do you feel about Maimon on this GK roster? Because we just saw the power of Echo against especially something like a Diva, when Ziad, one of his best heroes, has been that Diva, and Maimon has an excellent Echo. I just wonder if that changes your mind.
I don't think the Echo changes my mind. I'm curious what his venture play is like, because if you remember back, like with the sim stuff, like at Esports World Cup, Falcons gave Owcs a ton of trouble with proper on the venture. We just saw venture in basically every series that we've had thus far. So like, if Owcs tries to fall back to some of that sim stuff, like does Maimon and Geeke have like a venture look? and they can definitely cause some problems there.
I mean, Venture for a long time has been one of the go-to DPS responses to Symmetra. I still think
v-ați gândit de ce o să alegem mare parte
Venture to play.
But exactly, like the Symmetra TPing a Cassidy round is like
pentru că Venture în pula mea e teroarea backline-urilor.
on Venture and you don't punish it.
Venture terrorizează backline-ul.
Out of your reach and this ball just guns you down.
I'm going to go ahead and let you two continue to chew on this and go ahead and give you the reins for this next series and take it away.
Thank you, Rose. As we get into this one, I think the chat pretty much on point, 70-30. I'd call Owcs the favorite, but yeah, I mean, they know these players on GK. This is one that Junkbuck, as the coach for Owcs, is he's gonna be sweating this one because not an easy team to prep for.
And I would also say the one thing that you didn't mention about the Venture kind of comps now is the inclusion of the Zarya in the mix, right? So the Venture can play a little bit more aggressive with those bubbles and may feel a little bit more free. Like it's not as punishing of like, let's say you're trying to play the Venture with a Diva, for instance, and you're relying on defense matrix and kind of that coordination. Like you can use those bubbles and play pretty aggressive with that Venture and not feel as punished, I would say. That is something that's a little bit different.
Yeah, I'm curious, you know, for a team like Owcs that has been honestly one of the most committed to like some of these wild and wacky sim cheeses, I like the Sim Bastion. I think the Sim Bastion on certain maps can come out and be like a devastating punishment to the enemy Zarya in particular. The Zarya bubbles, they're just not good enough. You're just dead. The Bastion's gonna break both of your bubbles and still clean you up.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe we'll see it. We talked a little bit about it during EMEA.
Okay.
Yeah, Alcatia bans the Ramatra here early on. So that would tell you what? We want to see
they want to play Zarya.
Zarya, Diva, things like that.
Yeah.
And then the Lucio ban is a little bit surprising, but also it's one you can definitely use against Alcat, right? With Kellen flying to play a lot of that.
Și-au dat counter unul la altul, cum ar veni cu banurile
play a lot of these like Wuyong-based compositions, right? So maybe there's something they have.
Haide, frate, haide, vă rog eu.
GK.
I think taking away the Lucio on Nepal is going to be especially interesting because we saw like in that Team CC's match where the double flex looked pretty good. The Lucio was the answer that beat it,
to the
responded to it. But without speed, can you get on top of a backliner like that? You know, we've seen like Kiri Wuyang be a very strong backline. Not easy to catch those heroes, even with the Lucio. So when you take that tool away, mitigate some of their rotation potential, and I think Owcs is a team that loves to be stacked up in a death ball, you know, running from kill to kill and just controlling the tempo. I feel like taking away the Lucio puts this map a little bit more in GK's comfort zone.
Yeah, a little DHL shout out there on the ball, getting some love.
Oh, Hazard!
Get your packages to the top of the
GK joacă ball!
Here in Nepal.
Oh, shit!
This looks like a mountain. Obviously, it is a mountain.
Ziad joacă ball!
DHL looks like a mountain.
DHL can get you all the way up there.
A schimbat pe Diva.
Looks like a mountain. Yep, that's
oh, a little Brig Juno. All right.
All right. So
ceva îmi spune că hazardul lor o să le fie greu.
That'll be Alcatia.
Hazardul lor o să le fie greu, o să le fie foarte greu.
Which is quite interesting. Like Juno's really fallen off from like the midpoint of the year, right? She was very strong and then kind of went nowhere a little bit, but it'll be Alcatia actually using this early on, and then
mă lasă-mă dracu.
For GK, it'll be Kuffa and Co. Running this Hazard.
A Hazard could be spicy here, right? Could kind of mitigate Symmetra, hooper off some of her teleporters.
Da, nu, Hazard împotriva lui Diva e destul de dureros.
For now, both teams fighting their time.
Că Diva poate să-i șteargă peretele.
Time to get into the action. GK up on this high ground, Kuffa looking for a connection. Maybe wants to dive into that backline.
Înțeleg că Hazard e mai mult un fel de poke.
Trades with Maimo, but the orb comes in from top.
Dar poke nu prea le trebuie lor.
So out of nowhere,
vedem cine câștigă acum.
And Alcatia up one. They're going to TP into the backline. Looks to get a little bit active. Checkmate.
No, Symmetra e moartă. Checkmate e moartă.
Easily as good as he's getting. GK is stabilizing though.
And I imagine this is something that Alcatia has worked on because I think if you watch the EMEA, like they were a team that would see Lucio banned against them constantly, and it seemed like that time they were able to figure out how to go. Now with a Juno Brig lineup though, Kellex can play the Brig as Ziad cleans everybody up.
Uite-te și tu, i-a curățat!
Brig, so now you can get another comfort kind of support line to fall back on when Lucio's not in.
Yeah, I think Brig Juno is one that they've liked in the past, and it gives tremendous stability, right? Especially for a sim comp. It's up against Hazard, who, you know, Hazard wants to get active, wants to aggro in, and there's new backlines more difficult to attack into than the Juno Brig.
Also, this point, right? Specifically, where you want to fight in close quarters over the objective, like Sim, Brig, Juno there as well with the D.Va, very difficult to fight into.
Yeah, it's a lot of help.
Doar am schimbat volumul și să...
To be able to give it over to Ziad. Kuffa tries to go past that front line, get into the back line. Big bullet shot into the back line, though, takes down Landon. Landon rips the orbital ray before he goes down. So providing some support from beyond the grave, it seems like enough for the moment for Alcad to hold on to this point. DK up against the clock now. Lethal takes out Checkmate, and Kuffa finds Pelix. That could be crucial, but Kuffa has like to get it done, so there's still more Overwatch to be played here. Ziad has Bomb holding on to the point.
And Ziad is so healthy. And he's so good when playing with the bomb. I imagine they're going to get down here. Yep, Ziad's going to get a touch. He's going to be able to basically play like he has the second life. Now you have everybody back. I mean, he makes plays on D.Va that are just unreal. Like, it's like, I don't know how, it feels like he has twice as much health as some of the other D.Vas.
Yeah, beautiful control of the tempo. Here's the
să nu facă pe prostul să dea ulta cu Hazard singur. Dacă dă ulta Hazard singur, e bătut în cap dacă face asta.
The title blast over the top, though, is way too much. Kuffa gets that kill. Maimon's going to be back into this one quick. And now, the fight being taken to the point. DK forced the puff to rush, wanted to lock this one and secure it. Grabbing him, this is not enough. And now Kuffa managed to stay alive through that damage, forced to drop the downpour for the most part defensively to this one. Alcad maybe still fighting this one out, but Ziad, no, he's going to hold on to the stealth struggle, save it for another day. And DK not able to give up the point from here on out. It's 99-0, a long road back, but could be an opportunity for Alcad to win the D.Va bomb.
Au mult și bine de bătut
Isn't
până
so easy to get in this spot.
Didn't love the rally there. Kellex was very low, tries to pop that rally. Maybe he thinks he can kind of get himself healed up, but he gets burst down there by Kuffa and co. Pulse bomb goes in there from Maimona. Does not connect with anything. Takes a little bit of health off a Checkmate, but that's healed up straight away. So nothing with that pulse bomb. Nice whip shot there from Kellex, as they're going to move straight to the point.
Bullet shot is in, but it's just not enough. Ziad is super low, but he doesn't even lose the mech and still has that self-destruct as well. Kuffa now under the ire of Checkmate's mech is going to get pushed off the point. Ziad finds ultraviolet, and the backline is going to cut to pieces. Alcad, the front line, way too strong for GK, who just crumbled in the final fight.
Yes, I also think, Jake, with this matchup, right, neither of these teams is like sleeping on each other, right? The first two games of the day, you could be like, the T1 really prepped crazy for Team CC.
Yeah, they might be already thinking about their second round matchup, maybe miss some of the prep here, but
these two teams have honed in on each other for like...
refresh rapid, că tot e între runde.
We're just talking about how impactful Junkbuck has been, not just on the team, but on the region. EMEA, getting them playing all these different kinds of comps, searching here, and you can see Landon and Kellex really paid off here of this comp.
The Juno Brig, I think it's a very potent style for Alcazia. They're piloting it very well, and Kuffa just has
să-mi bat piciorul în streamul vostru.
a very tough test. Maimondo is going to step over to the Venture, and I do like this, right? A little bit more of that ability to punish grouped up enemies than Tracer can really offer.
Okay, s-a schimbat pe
Venture. And a lot of for GK. This map is a little bit more easy to
Venture e counter pentru Symmetra, e bine.
We'll see if any of that changes.
Yeah, I'm just curious of how, dialed in my Venture is, right? And it's also a little bit of a harder shell to play it into, Jake, because you're not going to be playing that Zarya, right? We were talking about how the Zarya works really well with the Venture, being able to use some of those bubbles to keep the Venture alive. They're actually going all in, all out here with the Hazard in the mix.
Yeah, UV's down, using that TP to great effect, restabilizing the backline, and now onto the checkpoint. You're onto only the Kiriko for heals. Ziad still healthy enough for the moment to keep this point contest going. Still fight to be had. GK keeping this one alive. Lethal finds one, but the death ball is just too potent, and still Alcazia just overwhelmed.
But you would think for DK, like obviously Kuffa is tremendous on the Hazard, right? That's like, think back to like Champions Clash early on in the season. That's what he was really kind of dominating on. But like the Zarya would be much better with this type of comp going into what Alcatia is
Sunt de acord, având în vedere că nici măcar nu s-a banat Zarya, poate se pune Zarya. E o alegere mai bună.
You can't stand toe-to-toe no matter what your tank pick is. Given the rest of the comp, you have to have some mobility to be able to play your way out of that. I mean, we saw that in our first match today. He's getting run over by these heavy rushes. But Kappa, meanwhile, still struggling.
No, Kappa trebuie să schimbe, Kappa trebuie să schimbe.
But once again, it's just the ultimate's on point. Alcatia forcing the fights in the objective and just picking off whoever steps out of position on GK, who are forced to take a quick reset here to try and come back in. But I mean, this map has been pretty one-sided so far.
Dacă vrea să facă ceva cu Hazard, trebuie să ia one by one.
In here, and you have the rally here from Kellex. You see, maybe just trying to bait somebody in. Like, you pop that rally, get a stun, and then just burn a target right away, right?
E și o idee bună asta cu Hazard și cu Brig, da. Aba nu e Brigul lor!
He wants to find this rally, wants to get that connection. Here it comes. Moves away for a moment, gets the back.
That is sick.
But Ziad already has found Admiral. Damage is done. Checkmate goes down, though, so hold on. Decent trades, but still. Kappa has to take that ire of the second stun, and there's just not enough support to keep him alive through this. Way too rock solid from Alcatia. I mean, they drop a player here and there, but it doesn't dissuade them from continued aggression, from continuing to punish these mobile heroes on GK.
And as soon as Maimon actually goes in and uses a burrow to try and get in, guess what? The TP comes out and they just all run right away. So now the Venture is stuck there with no mobility to get back to the rest of the team. And then Alcatia is in your back line there with a rally. Yeah, it's going to be a tectonic shock. They're trying to take some of this bridge control.
And they have to get a little bit of space here. Tech
Și-a
shot
dat-o
not really able to get
degeaba,
value.
l-aștepta mai bine pe Hazard.
Creates a lot of space, but couple with the downpour, that's big. That shuts down Labda, takes the overclock out of contention, and GK now in a 5-on-3 should be able to clean this one up. But a little bit of deja vu, Matt. They take the point.
Bravo, bravo.
The prospect of winning this many fights back-to-back, I mean, we haven't seen it yet out of GK. It would be a pretty huge performance here. They have the rush to start things off. That's a pretty powerful tool.
Yeah, but like what? You use the rush, they'll end up having like an orbital ray built back up, and you're in a really bad spot in the next fight. I think also you have to be careful here for GK. If you go aggressive with a rush and don't like end up with a kill or two right away, you're gonna get like you're gonna be playing now into the orbital ray.
Look at that,
You're gonna be standing right on top of it.
I mean, they're getting such an unconventional angle here. Alcad all the way into the flank, and they bait the rush. They're out of there. Oh, that's such a. I mean, that's great use of the TP, right? That was the tool for GK, and you can't blame him for it. If you delay that rush a little bit too long, Alcad could just run you over. But this time, the read's not there. Once again, checkmate right back into the flank.
They're just getting flanked, and the orbital ray is going to come from the front.
Yeah, now it's getting a little bit awkward, though. I mean, like, where's the connection for Alcad? They need to get in and
Mă, au healer buni.
finish off the
E
backline.
păcat de tank puțin, că gen Hazard nu prea reușește să țină.
Maimon finds Kellex, and so the split is actually favoring GK. They're the comp that wants to play mobile, that wants to play in these different ranges. Yad loses mech, has to pop self-destruct. Lab to find something, and could be just doing enough to win this one out as Kappa drops low on the hazard and is cleaned up. But this is Maimon's second in the fight, and onto a crucial target, no less.
Yeah, UV dangerously low, gets healed up, but you are going to lose lethal as Ziad is still in the mix, right? Gets a self-destruct, gets that mech back, then can keep going on the rampage that we're used to seeing from Ziad as pushes GK all the way back. There'll be a title blast here. Use on the Admiral just to try and keep him alive, but Jake just feels like the inevitable here for Alcatia.
They're so sharp on these sim comps, man. I mean, just a tactical domination there on the retake. And it just feels like, I mean, you have so much mobility on GK. They're planning to play their way out of all these situations. But Alcad, I mean, they're so sharp. They always find the right place to teleport. They always find the right way to attack. I feel like Ziad has been managing the pressure incredibly well. And I mean, this is what we see from this guy all year long as pretty much a rookie tank player looking like one of the best in the world.
He is so sick when he's got self-destruct and he can just play like on an island by himself, like basically be like hyper aggressive. He always figures out a way to like get the mech back, stay alive. Like it's like basically he's got like, you know, 1,000+ HP at that point, right? That you have to kind of take him out twice.
He's got such a great read of the line too, because he has that self-destruct, but more often than not, he doesn't need to use it because he's just on that limit. He knows, you know, to push just far enough without eating, without wasting self-destruct, and getting immense value out of it.
Yeah, we take away the
ce spărcurile astea, bine, ăsta e bun. Major părcul e bun, dar de ce și-a luat părcul ăsta pe Hazard?
Early on, you know, lethal leading, you know, for GK in terms of damage. But yeah, like there were so many times
Păcat că a
throughout
jucat-o
this season
prost.
in EMEA
Avea
where
mult
you would see
potențial,
Ziad like
păcat că a
start off a
jucat-o
fight
prost.
and like somehow be able to kind of like maneuver around on the diva and always come out with like 30 HP, 50 HP, like just so good at pushing diva to the max.
Yeah, the Brig Juno also looked great in the backline for
a huge
Owcs.
win for them.
And it's a comp where, like, yeah, Lethal does the most damage on the server, but with Brig Juno, you don't really care, right? You can soak tons of damage onto your diva, and you're just pumping her full of heals, keeping her in.
Nah, crazy, fucking crazy.
Checkmate takes a lot of deaths that game, but he's not there to carry the game. He's there to set the team up for success, and he does exactly that on the Symmetra on Nepal.
And I think a lot of other teams would be worried if that composition actually kind of starts to pan out for Alcad, because I feel like the one thing that everybody would say going into a series with Alcad is like, okay, we're going to ban Lucio in one map. It's going to force Kellex off of it, right? Maybe they have to play something weird. If they have that comp to kind of fall back on, of course, like, in numerous maps, let's say, that is tough.
Yeah,
because now you start to get into this, like...
Dă un refresh la Steam, ca să știm o treabă.
Back up, and then Ziad on the tank role, right? Like he could be playing the Ramatra, he could be playing the Orisa, but the Diva, for me, the Diva is my preferred variant of the Sim because you put that Diva in a position where she's already gap closed on you and she has every CD.
And with the flight form,
exactly. She's right on top of you and she hasn't used any Matrix. She hasn't used her booster yet. She hasn't used missiles and she's right into your back.
Where can GK go that they can get an advantage? Is there a map in the pool that is like not?
I mean, you have the power to throw a sim ban here.
Yeah.
The thing about Alcatsia, they're not dependent on the Symmetra, but I think for GK in a first or two here, I feel like you'd be remiss to do anything but ban sim.
Right.
Given that
you have to do it once in the series.
Exactly.
Right?
If it goes to a map 3, then well, you could just use a DPS ban to protect it for Alcad. So I feel like you got to go somewhere, take the sim out of the Matrix. We'll see, if that's enough. Maybe you take it to like a push map and you just play a front-to-back style. Although,
dacă se gândesc ăștia să baneze Symmetra,
maybe you go to like a Dorado and play some Winston and bring a style that GK have looked like one of the best in the world.
Brigitte.
Route 66 is not
Ori banează
awesome
Diva. Nu cred că banează
Diva. You can use it like first point, like second point. It doesn't have as much value. I'm just trying to think like
you could like ban the Diva on 66.
GK sau GK să schimbe
DPS
sau tankul de preferat, să schimbe tankul.
Like Blizzard World actually is pretty decent for sim. Like
no, fără Blizzard. Blizzard World. Nu vreau să aud harta.
Then you're going down like New Queen Street or like the Runasapi. I don't think you'd want to kind of probably go to either of those. Yeah, it might be.
Următoarea să fie push Route 66. Vă rog eu Route 66.
Or an escort, right? Where it's either like the Route 66. But about Shambali.
Yeah, dacă e Route 66 e bine.
Either GK are a tough team to predict, and they're going to go Shambali. I feel like they've got to ban
Shambali.
This is a monster.
This would be, I guess,
But if you take Sim out of the equation, things get very spicy very quickly. And it's also a place where Lethal could really shine. I mean, I think he had already a solid game on Labdo was giving just as good as he was getting, though, and it really was back and forth. But this is a map you take it to when you really want to gamble on your hit scan.
Yes, and I guess like you're also thinking of GK if you win this one, right? Like, is Alcad just gonna pick King's Row, like, or like King's Row or like Suravasa? Like, you probably feel okay with either of those with GK, with an opportunity to close it out there. So, interesting pick. We've also seen, I mean, you probably doesn't come into favor on like a Shambali. Like, Maimon obviously has played, Tracer, can play Venture like we just saw.
I hope he just brings the Venture, man. Every time we've seen Tracer all day long, it's not been freaking lackluster. And the Venture has looked like definitively the better hero.
It's so interesting how, like, Tracer obviously gets a nerf, like, is it one of the bigger ones?
The thing about the nerf is like, it's a nerf that's very hard to calculate.
Yeah.
Because it's not a statistic. It's not just a raw damage nerf. It is a damage nerf, right? But it makes, if you don't know, her bullet size is nerfed, which is pretty hard to understand what that means. It means you're going to do slightly less damage at more or less every range because slightly more of your bullets are going to miss unless you're, like pulse pistols straight to the back. Like you're not going to be doing as much damage, not going to be doing as consistent of damage. But you're still the most mobile hero in the game. You still have some of the best point contests in the game. And the Venture...
au banat bine Venture, dar...
They're going to let the Sim through. They want to deal with the Sim on this map. That's wild.
Deci au banat Kiriko, că tot ei au jucat Kiriko.
I wonder if GK, they ban the Kiri. Is this a Wuyang protect? for UV to be able to
tot
play
ei au
that
jucat Kiriko,
here.
tot ei o banează pe Kiriko, nu înțeleg. Nu înțeleg cum funcționează.
He has been awesome at
Sometimes
that
maybe
in A.
I mean, this honestly, this makes like absolutely no sense to me because they just play Bridge
It's not great.
Chiar
Yeah, I
n-are
mean,
play
big de
Bridge Juno.
sens.
Like they don't. I don't know why. You have to. You could play Bat Lucio here. I don't think you even would play Carry. Like if you're the Sim team, I think you would play Bat Lucio or Bridge Juno. The AoE heals are really powerful in the Sims comps.
I mean, are you looking like, could you play Ana potentially if you're UV and GK? Like,
Maybe that's it. Maybe this is like an
Hai mă, lasă-mă, dracu.
Ana Winston look.
Yeah.
You know, bring out the
Ana
Ash or
Winston.
something like that, or hey,
Le-ar
maybe
merge
even like an
perfect.
Alari, right?
Le-ar
You take away
merge
the Kyrie
perfect dacă ar
historically,
băga
that's
Ana
opened the
Winston.
door for like, hey, we just saw Varel win this map with double backline flex support. I mean,
I still can't believe that just happened.
Okay.
Like, we just kind of moved on.
Okay,
past that. But
okay,
no,
au
it looks
line
like
up. Okay, au line
for
up destul
GK,
de
at
bun.
least here on
Au line up
offense,
destul
we'll
de
get
bun.
what they decided to do. They've been playing a ton of the Wuyong, so maybe that's kind of
Au
where
line
they
up
were
destul
going
de
with
bun.
it.
Zarya,
Hellcat,
Echo,
I mean, this is right up
Widowmaker
their alley.
mă
Like, if you ask
trântește
them,
puțin la
like,
pământ.
you know,
Widowmaker mă cam face să am dubii.
some of the comps they
Ultraviolet
like,
să schimbă
this
pe
would be
Juno.
one of the
Ah, ok,
answers,
schimbă pe
right?
Juno.
With the Ramatra, the Bath, the Lucio, and obviously the Sim.
Okay.
I mean, it's interesting about this is now with no Kiri, any Ana
Chase
nade
up attack,
that is
no, that's
found is
attack.
going to be like a very big nade, very impactful. And at the same time, you really don't want to go Diva on Ziad if Kappa stays on this Zarya. And especially with Echo backing it up as well, there's a lot of beam damage on the field. For now, though, Kappa maybe just wants to take the Ram mirror, be able to provide some AoE to maybe punish some of these Sim TPs, but breaking this choke point is an unenviable task for any attacker.
S-a schimbat
Let's see if
instant.
they're able to do it out COD. This is going to be a well-practiced scenario for them.
Okay,
And
Ash,
Ziad is very far
Ash e
forward
o
holding the
opțiune
card,
bună.
just being greedy right
Well,
here.
this is also a backline that I don't really recall seeing all too often. A Wuyong Juno here? That is, typically you would see like, whether it's like the Wuyong with like a Lucio,
S-au schimbat
sometimes you
înapoi
see it.
repede pe
In
Wuyang.
EMEA,
Am
we see a
văzut.
lot of Wuyong Kiri, right? But obviously Kiri gone here. The Wuyong Juno here is an interesting look.
It's kind of wild. I mean, it does give a pretty significant amount of damage. Good heal throughput. Maybe they're just trying to play that mobility game and stay away from the Symmetra. Rail connection is good on the UV, and the follow-up damage is there, but the trades are even better in Al-Qad. A couple good fights, but now this one should be the crumbling with the attacker spawn so close. GK, they want to close this one out quick, but Al-Qad are just running the clock down on them. I mean, they know they have no chance in this fight. But Ziad's going to block it up here on the Ram and stall as long as he can.
Bravo.
Hey, that's a minute off the clock. Yeah, the cart didn't roll a meter, so Al-Qad are going to get 3 fights on first point.
Yeah,
we see this a lot from the elite Sim teams.
Yeah, it's pretty decent there for Al-Qad. Yeah, because they're playing the Sim, right, they may be able to get there a little bit faster, get another fight before it kind of rounds that corner.
Acum,
Yes, they will make the Diva swap here. Is now they're really comfortable with what they're playing, and then Landon obviously doing a ton of healing and damage off
Echo
the
cu
side already.
buff-uri recent care l-a primit e chiar fenomenal. Și având în vedere că ei au decât un singur hitscan și ăla fiind
there's going to be an easy 3 fights here. Now they just want to double down, TPing, trying to connect deeper onto the backline. Lethal didn't see that one coming.
Nu. Lethal după ce îl dă pe box trebuie să schimbe. Lethal trebuie să schimbe neapărat.
The sustain just isn't there. Admiral goes over to the brig, which is nice. Ultraviolet finds a pickup onto Landon, which takes a lot of the sustain out of this comp. And now he's going to double down with a Tidal Blast. Getting active here on this Wuyang. Okay, UV. He's got hands. He's got this fight going on in my mode.
No, UV a jucat-o bine. UV a jucat-o foarte bine.
Cardis rolled back significantly during this fight.
Bravo.
And GK, I mean, the second fight win in a row technically, and yet it just doesn't feel like it. This is why Al-Qadzi are so hard to beat. The strategy itself has taken 2 minutes off the clock.
Right, and it's like now, that fight basically took another minute, and then guess what? Ziad can play quite aggressive here. They're going to have sound barrier most likely during this fight. It'd actually be a duplicate here as Ziad tries to get out of the way, and it's going to be an overclock from Labda and an off angle.
Oh, fancy footwork from Lethal there. Dodges a headshot on the OC. Yeah, Labda drops down, and my moan with the copied Ram. Double Ram is just way too strong, trying to hold on to that point. All right, DK, I mean, the clock was ran down, but Al-Qad just didn't have the staying power to really take that final fight.
Yeah, I mean, Al-Qadzi there is going to play for a sound barrier, right? So you have kind of like Labda off the side. Hopefully that Ziad kind of holds that corner. And then maybe you can kind of force some of these ultimates out, and GK plays a little bit passive, and then you end up with a beat. But I love how GK decided to actually go quite aggressive there. They had like the Ash, they ended up using the dupe, and they push on forward. Let's listen into GK, see if they can take this fight.
Yeah.
He's beat Sim.
No,
Sim half. Someone and you will.
Hai, fapt aia era ulta lui
Only sway window.
Lucio lor, ce prost sunt.
Are you throwing fight before? Yeah. Only window. Okay. I'm in.
Listening at la
I'm gonna
GK.
TP window somewhere. TP pop. I'm no shield already. No slow. I shield top. I'm walking point. Yeah. I'm peeking out. You're not scouting me. Wait. I'm ready to pick up. TP now, left side. Fight. I saw them. It's hard.
E haos în comurile lor, coaie. E haos complet în comurile lor.
I can't up. Get next.
Să cam panică puțin.
Yeah. I got Ramos. Oh, wait, did they? Slow, they're pushing. I'm getting in spawn. Yeah, let's push the side, they're gonna push the other side. Yeah,
Au timp, au 2 minute, au tot timpul din lume.
Okay. Watch for their slow guys.
Da, nu trebuie să se schimbe nimeni. Că au avantaj, chestia este că trebuie să joace puțin strategic. Ok, bravo. No, nu-i bună. L-a dat afară direct din duplicate.
They're backing.
Owcs are just relentless with these forward fights, this time taking the spawn hold, and Lethal does find the kill that sends them back, that gets a little bit of breathing room for our North American representatives here, but Owcs wants to close this series out here. Bob opens up for Lethal, but Owcs is going to kite this one out, give up a bit of cart time and re-engage.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna give up some cart progress here, right? But I know you're gonna obviously, burn some time, and Owcs did a great job burning even more clock there as they kind of move towards the spawn door. It'll be Labda here with an OC here from the top high ground. You have the rally popped here by Admiral trying to keep everybody alive, but guess what? Now you can just back up again here for Owcs.
And Matrix can be backbreaking here. GK don't have an obvious response to it. Land is looking for that opportunity, wants to find something. Bit of damage goes into the backline, forces the drone out. Here comes the window, though, and attacking into that is a tall order by Mo's doing it, though. The sticky bomb connection is good there, takes down Kelix, taking out some of the mobility. It's up to Checkmate now, who immediately rips the sim wall, keeps this fight going. And that kill onto UV might be enough. Maimon finds his second, though, second support down, and that means you have no sustain in this fight for Alcop. But they just have enough health maybe to get this one over the line. Bravo. Making it scrappy, has the Rambo if he wants to double down and recommit into this one.
Nah, I think there's no way, because you're gonna have he does actually use it. I wonder here, Kelix coming back. Do you even think about using this beat? No, it actually looks like that cover was kind of forced down.
Checkmate's very low, and I think GK are gonna know about it. He's getting healed up here, but Lucio getting active into the fight. UV follows it up. And this
Nu, trebuie touch, Lucio
gone into for desperation mode.
Lucio trebuie să atingă, Lucio trebuie să atingă.
But they don't have checkmate, so they've got to find kills very quickly.
No,
the Ram Cop is going to stabilize things on point. Admiral dances away on the Lucio. Ultraviolet, though, not so lucky. Doesn't get out of this one. A bit of extra card progress is landed incredibly low. And the copied Rambo is just enough to get this one over the line with OT spawns. I'm not going to get another fight.
I was going to say, do you get another fight? Do you have the sim here available? You're going to have Kelix coming off of the spawn.
They're just not, I mean, the OT spawns are brutal. Like, Ziad's not even alive.
Bun, bravo. Au luat point-ul. Îți dau un refresh la live. Dau un refresh rapid.
To work with. I mean, Maimon, he's been so good throughout this map, but ends up falling there.
Honestly, respect to Maimon for just going for that, for taking that risk, because hey, if that goes the other way, that's your opener. That's something to keep this game continuing. Breaking this corner, though, is going to be a tall order. You're close on a couple ultimates, but you don't quite have anything online, and we're running into that barrier where are you going to get another fight? If Alcott can delay this one for just a moment, they could be running the clock out in this next fight. And it's very strong in this drone.
This area to fight also is not exactly ideal for the Echo, right? Like inside of this kind of a hallway where it's close quarters, even if you're up at near the top of the roof.
Lethal, nice moves, man. Just stands and delivers onto Labda. And that's a big kill from your Ash. Shuts down the OC. And Mason and Alcazia packing. They're still here. They're still holding this one. Refusing to back down for now. Checkmate in a bit of trouble on this offing. Us the TP back. Playing the window, but this double angle setup with the TP is pretty nasty, pretty hard to break. Even with the pick, It's not enough for GK to pull the trigger and keep pushing, but now with the stim wall down in overtime, you have to continue this fight. Here comes the beat from GK. They rip it, forcing back this position. Alcad recognize they have to back out. They can't stand toe-to-toe with the sound barrier.
Hai, mai mult. Nu contează neapărat să dați al treilea punct. Contează doar să împingeți.
Crucial kill to Lethal. Here comes that tidal blast onto the Echo. You're diving and trying to take down UV in the backline. He's waving away for the moment, but Lab has found that kill by Moan. Finds blood of his own, and maybe 2 Rams going to be alive in this fight. The first Ram. Steve Mimone has to go for the copy here as Copy is dropping, replacing his tank in the front line. They're actually still a little bit fighting potentially for GK, but no, the copy is burned down. Mimone in his only Echo form, but it's just not enough. The Sim turret's cooking on the point, and Checkmate closes that one out. Nonetheless, though, is that the best push we've seen so far? I mean,
yeah, it might be.
Getting into third is a win of its own.
Yeah, no, a really good offense there for DK. I think, obviously, Alcatraz, I think just looking like how they just played it really safe throughout the entire map. There's never like a moment where they tried to force, try and make a risk type of play to get a hold. I thought Mimone had a really good first half, 18-2.
Very sick.
9,300 damage, but really it's about those pickoffs that he's getting on the Echo.
Yeah, I mean, the Echo was immaculate. You know, to be honest, Alcad are making it surprisingly difficult given the performances on the individuals, but this is the strength of their comp, right? That even in some of these fights they can't win, strategically they're still getting the edge. They're still able to hold on sometimes when they do lose that first player because the team play is just so rock solid.
Yeah, and we'll see Lethal end up playing the Freya here on defense, so we saw some Ash on offense. I mean, now
this is a pretty thick comp to be trying to play Stim into this is a real challenge. I mean, you're kind of crazy for playing Stim into this.
They're going to do it.
Yeah,
I mean they're going to do it.
Absolutely, they will. But Freya and Echo are just raining death from above on you.
No, Freya și Echo e combo de lane.
But I guess what's the option then? Like, would you play? Like, what would you do if
Nu știu dacă neapărat Mercy ar fost un pic destul de bun.
Obviously, their sim comps are so good.
Shit, au ei Mercy.
Great reason to move off of it, but
yeah, I would love to see Ziad go Diva into this personally. I think that would be a pretty key pick here, one that could just provide, even with the Symmetra, provide some better frontline cover. But the Ram, maybe just too important to contest the cart on this map. With how often we see a lot of fights decided by who's able to like hold those corners down, and I mean, there's just no tank better than Ram when it comes to holding the corner.
I would also say. This team has more experience playing Sim into all these different types of comps than just about any in the world, right? Yeah. So if there's one team that can figure out how to kind of make it work, it is Alcatraz.
Big slow on the choke win from Kuffa there. He's holding the off angle well. And now, after the dust settles a little bit, that should be nice.
Să le dau reset la live 2 secunde. Bine, la live-ul lor, nu al meu, că al meu n-are treabă.
Cart, nonetheless, despite having only 3 players alive, so without Kuffa, I mean, the progress is being made. Despite some defensive kills, the DPS need to get yet more done out of GK. Mimone dropping low, and he is going to be cleaned up as well. So, I mean, this is a fight that it feels like Alcatraz lost, and yet they can roll the cart.
Landon is so good, man. He's like inside of that room, and he just kind of continues to play from it and finds angles to heal everybody up and provide a little bit of damage because Mimone doesn't want to go down and kind of play into that room. Knows if there's an immortality field there, he most certainly would have died.
Oh, big window, but Lethal crucially takes down that soldier. Mimone over the top, gets the beam in, cuts down Landon, and that's both of the backliners out first from Alcatraz. That's how you got to deal with this Sim comp, right? Take the legs out from under them. Don't get baited to focusing the Ram, and a brutal stall into Ziad. Admiral, a little bit hasty to take that kill, but it gets it done.
Pe scurt este să nu dea targetul la Matra lor, trebuie să se ocupe de healer. Odată ce le moare un healer, gata, fiecare cade. Cade one by one. Atâta contează. Deci dacă scapă repede de un healer și de Symmetra, restul cade. Restul echipei cade.
But you're giving GK so much HP to punish. Big stickies onto the TP. It's not enough, though, to find a kill. And Alcad, get over to the cart. That's how they want to fight. But GK have a lot of ults to deploy into this one. Here comes the copy. They don't give up the point. No C9 for now. Does take down Lethal, but 2 Ramados on the field. There's a lot of AoE damage pumping into this Sim team. For now, they're sustaining through it. But without Ziad, not sure if that's going to be able to continue. And Mimone able to take down Landon.
Kelix tried to use the beat to keep Landon alive and doesn't actually connect with him to keep him up. And now you're going to lose Labda even after he finds one. So maybe a little bit of a blunder here for Alcatraz. Kelix trying to use that beat to keep Landon up. He basically dies as he's going to drop it. That is unfortunate. You would have loved to have that beat with everybody up.
And you were saying, Matt, I mean, Alcatraz just hadn't taken any risks. They had played so stable, so consistently, and now they go for the gamble. Ramble beat. This time it doesn't pay off. And this is an ult you would have loved to have going into the next fight.
Against the rally?
Yeah, now the rally
Da,
is
nu, o să mai facă iarăși încă un căcat de la de...
Checkmate does have that wall, and I mean, attacking into a Ramble is often a very poor play. So we'll see if GK wants to get aggro with this rally. Likely going to be defensive, but already the drone's forced out. The sim wall as well, relatively defensive. GK trying to slow this one down. The rally keeping things alive for the moment, relatively defensive. But Alcazia, the script is starting to turn against them. Here comes Kuffa into the flank, takes down Labda. That's one of your key attacking pieces for this offense. And with the bullet shot as well, now Kuffa popping the ult on top. This should be a real challenge. Alcazia, they need to sustain through this. They pop the counter Ramble, and actually my mode maybe going a little bit over-aggressive.
Deci dacă le cade un healer, le cade restul echipei.
Keeping this fight going, and they have a window and an OC to potentially close out first point.
Yeah, and you're going to get players back up with the respawn here for Alcad as Landon gets the hot
să le facă acum.
High ground here via a TP. Nice immortality build, keeping his teammates up. Checkmate would not have lived on through that.
Landon's so low. The pressure on Cart is immense. Lethal does end up cleaning out Landon, but he has to come out of position to do it, and that ultimately secures the flip. So Alcazia hanging on there in a tenuous scenario. As you mentioned before, I think a lot of props has to go to a player like Landon, able to navigate these incredibly challenging scenarios on the Batiste and just continue to heal, continue to do his job, to be that stable force, keeping the rest of the team alive. But it does feel like they've been getting a bit picked apart by GK. This is the time now for the script to turn, for Alcazia to take the initiative, and it's going to be Labda with the OC.
Știi care e chestia? GK nu-și mai permit să moară încă o dată gen team-wipe. Nu prea și mai permit.
Him, but with a back shot into Kuffa there, takes him out there with the OC. So that is a huge kill. You're also going to get my moan. So maybe this opens up that second point.
Oh, Lethal. Lethal needs to stay alive now, but he's caught by the Sim TP. Just can't get away. Checkmate, undeniable. Landon's going to have a very long walk back from spawn, though. Baptiste has no real way to fast roll out here. And if GK can just get a decently stable fight, I think Alcad are going to have to back off and let the clock run down just a little bit longer.
Yeah, can you maybe set up a... Nah, you can't even really set up a TP up here on the high ground to get him back. You also don't want to burn it, but it looks like actually Landon back in the mix.
Oh, that's a great sim wall. It's going to isolate the fight onto this side of Cart. You're continuing to pressure this in. GK are going to really struggle to get into this one. Kuffa just has to hold the front line, but the beat comes in, and it could be backbreaking. Katsia swarming forward over the Cart. Ziad finds one, landed with the next, and it's going to be Katsia taking second point, and most likely the map now. GK struggled to close this one out in points 1 and 2, and it may just be too hard now. I mean, there's no room left for Echo to maneuver here in this choke where we saw on the defense how powerful this Alcazia strat is in the small rooms.
And you can't exactly play that choke there if you're GK, right? Because like a tank falls or something, then all of a sudden now everybody's scrambling down to the low ground. You're going to have to play a little bit more offensive here. Oh, they actually go on a little bit of a TP flank here. They have the Amp Matrix to work with as well. They flip the map.
A little bit of misposition Amp Matrix, I think, from Landon there, but it might still be good enough. Kuffa is rotating around the Cart, staying alive, but his HP is dropping quickly. Ziad's on his back, taking down that opposing tank. No one's here to hold the Cart, and the feed is Alcazia as they clean up this second map. Going to Shambali, letting this team through proves to be hubris here from GK.
Yes, just, I mean, Alcazia, this is the types of compositions they love to play. They are the best at them, and even with a little bit of a wild card there with like the Echo, the Freya, things kind of thrown in, right? GK trying to play like Wu Yong with whether it be like a Juno or a Brig, something along those lines. Man, they are just too good at these comps. I mean, Alcazia just still so strong.
Okay, fair enough.
Because it shows like, I mean, GK had a phenomenal game. Like, both Lethal and Maimon
era și expected să câștige
did about as well as you could ever expect on Hero.
Okay, cei drept
quite good against this sim comp, and it just wasn't enough. Alcazia just, once they get into these old fights, once they're able to like...
Dau reset la ăsta, 2 secunde.
Really nice, like so they TP and then use that Amp Matrix from behind, and it forces Kuffa into like a really weird spot where Kuffa is kind of like in that choke, but he's also split from the rest of the team because they can't come around and try and keep him alive there. And then he ends up ultimately falling at the hands of Ziad, who I believe has an annihilation at the moment. And just a really nice hit up there. From Alcazia, I would think a lot of it, right, it's the sim, but it's not even the sim, like, damage, it's really the TP. They utilize that better, I think, than anybody else.
Absolutely. They're the best in the world, I think, especially these styles. Maybe
No, echo-ul la GK a făcut tot.
Maybe they want to challenge for it.
Yeah, true.
For my money, I think when it comes to the
Chiar îmi pare rău. Dar pe echipele care am pariat pe două echipe până acum, ambele au câștigat back-to-back. Eu am pariat pe GK, GK n-a câștigat. Deci,
in the end, you're getting out
bine, nu pariez bani,
these unwinnable scenarios.
Nu influențez eu pariatul sau ceva genul. Pariatul pe puncte, îți dai
I will
seama,
say,
nu pariez eu
GK
bani
played
pe
this
așa
series
ceva.
very competitively. They did look quite strong.
Yes, yeah, they didn't look bad.
Their style, and we talked about this, it's just a very tough
chiar îmi pare
round
rău.
one draw.
GG la
They're gonna have to fight it out in the lower bracket now.
Și acum mai e un singur meci. SSG-ul versus Peps.
We talked about it where, like,
Da, nu se
we
mai
thought
merită
this
să
series
joace
would be
runda
close. It is a close series and like a 2-0. Like, I would say Shambali was obviously, very
Dacă nu
back
băreau
and forth there, kind of went down to the wire.
Chirico nu mi s-a părut
Alcat
necesar
really
de
kind
banat. Chiar
of
nu-mi dau
looked
seama de ce
very
au
strong in
banat-o.
map number one and never really felt like EK had an answer. But hey, look, this is an Alcatia team with them and Twisted Minds at the top of EMEA. Both of those teams feel like they have a realistic shot of winning this event. And with a performance like that for Alcatia, you believe that they do.
Nu. Performanța lor a fost mai
Stocks
bună
up
dacă
for
banau...
sure for Sim and the EMEA teams. To find out more about how Alcat
Dar nu știu de ce n-au banat-o pe Simetra din prima vedere. Din prostie.
Thank you so much, Jake. Yes, I am here, joined by Landon from Alcatia. Great stuff today, 2-0 victory for you guys. I mean, I feel like it seemed like you guys were very well prepared against GK today. What was your preparation like for this matchup?
I think less of prepping for them and more like we know, like the comps we play are pretty obvious. You know, everyone kind of knows what they're getting into when they queue up in an Alcatia match. And I think that like dependence on a certain kind of comp is a weakness for some, but to us it means like kind of no matter what GK throws at us, like we know like what we're getting into. We know how to solve it.
I mean, for the comps that you just mentioned, I mean, I'm guessing it's the Ram Rush comp that you guys are talking about. Do you guys feel like you guys are the best Ram Rush team that we have in OWCS?
I think we're probably like the best Ram team at adapting to a lot of comps. Like I think our team has a good idea of how to play like what we play, and literally anything they can throw at us.
I mean, give me an example. Like, what were some of the I think adaptations that you guys had to make against GK today?
I mean, like, if you look at the second map, that is not a fun matchup to play Sim into. Like, Checkmate is playing into Wu Yang, Ram, Echo, Ash. But he finds a way, and you never see Checkmate getting picked pre-fight, like, with all this spam. Yeah. He's always there, always alive, finding a way to get value. And I think that's, like, what makes our team special.
I mean, yeah, I think even the casters are talking about, like, how are they going to make this Ram Rush comp work, and you guys made it work, so I think that's very fascinating. Let's talk about your match tomorrow. You guys are going up against Weibo. Landon, give me an honest opinion. What are your thoughts on Weibo gaming?
They're really not a bad team, but I just don't think they're a great team either.
Yeah, stai, joacă cu
another easy win?
Weibo?
I don't know about easy, but I know we're going to win. I know we're going to win.
All right, that's it for the post-match interview, Landon. Thank you so much. Good luck tomorrow. Let's head back to the desk.
Joacă cu băieții ăștia.
Thanks so much, Danny. So funny, he was trying to get the spice out of Landon there ahead of their match tomorrow. But taking a look back, I feel like, I don't know, Alcatia might not have much to worry about.
They should feel confident against everybody. I mean, with what Landon was saying, it's a lot of like what we were talking about during that, of like, they know how to play this comp against every comp at this point.
Yeah.
Like, everybody is throwing the kitchen sink at this thing, and sometimes it's worked, but guess what? Alcatia just keeps playing it, and eventually they figure out the right way to play the Sim, and whether it be the Ram or the Diva, into it. And I think that's like, when you have one comp you can fall back to as a team that you're like, okay, nobody else can do this, and we can just dominate on it. I mean, that's a great feeling.
Yeah, I mean, look at that damage stat, right? GK is just pouring it on throughout the
GK a avut damage mai mult.
But the support line is just so durable. So many fights. Alcatia stay alive with that back line. It's Landon and keeping the heals on Zion. Whether it's Paul playing the Diva, whether it's Shambali playing Ramatcha, they stay alive deep into the fight. They get into those extended trading retake scenarios, and they're just so strong in those low numbers engagements.
Yeah, it's tough when that damage doesn't actually translate to executions. No kills. That just extends those fights. But it was really great to see Alcatia be able to perform, and I hope that GK is able to pull it back. They're going to be entering into the lower bracket where who knows who they'll be facing. That's something that we will be able to determine tomorrow. But I think they still have more to show us. This might have just been a tough opponent. And to your point, how do you get experience against the teams that are going to be running just this one thing?
It also may not be an awesome meta for DK. Like in the sense that, you know, Kuffa would love to play some Hazard. You love to be able to play Mimone.
Right?
Yeah,
or Winston. You love to play Mimone on like Tracer, right? Like it may not be an awesome meta for them. So they may be trying to figure this out a little bit on the fly.
I mean, I feel like they had great games. I thought Kuffa looked pretty solid on the Ram. I like Mimone and Lethal put up big games on their respective heroes. Did like everything you could reasonably ask for them to do, and it just wasn't enough. I think this is more, for me, like how good Alcat are. I think they're a team that is probably thinking, you know, we kind of choked in the Grand Finals of Esports World Cup. Maybe losing, but like 4-0.
Yeah,
come on. It shouldn't have been 4-0, and I think Alcat, they want to rewrite that script, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them with another shot at the Grand Finals. I mean, that's an early call, but I kind of believe in it.
Could be. The road to get there, though, is certainly going to be a tough one as we take a look at our bracket. You can see it updated with the Alcatia win. They are going to be going up against Weibo Gaming, and that will take place tomorrow. Final match for us to determine is going to be that last quarterfinal. Crazy Raccoon will be going up against either Space Station Gaming or Team Peps for our final match of the day.
Yeah, that'll be a really interesting one to kind of see where both of these teams are at, right? Peps is a little bit of a surprise. Like, we all thought it would be VP. I know Peps, the week before they qualified, they lost to the good guys. If you remember back to the EMEA, little Crocs Roadhog action. And you see kind of what the lower bracket will shape out like. So, I mean, who knows what we're going to get from Peps.
The night is darkest before the dawn.
No, Peps chiar au fost destul de neașteptați. Deci,
but when we look
pare
at
foarte
the
mult pe
bracket
Peps.
rows, I really think like Alcatia and TM, like one of those teams, like they're both primed in a pretty decent spot to make a run.
I agree with you. I think there's a couple teams that certainly stand out in terms of their road to get there. I think Team Falcons, now that they've been able to get that win, even though it was so close, you know, I think that they also look like they will be pretty primed for success, even though that match is going to be really tough.
I mean, that Team Liquid, like they've been talking like, hey, we're going to beat Team Falcons, and you know,
This is the chance
you got to be confident.
Put up or shut up.
But exactly with Varel showing, it can be done, right? They can bleed, and I think that's actually a huge statement. That one that Falcons is not going to be happy about having made this early into the tournament.
I think it shows that Giants can bleed, and hopefully that means good things for us in our final match of the day, where Space Station Gaming take on Team Peps. See you soon.
Ultimul match, Peps versus Space. Facem o țără mentenanță până când se pregătește și ultimul match. 3 minute, 4 minute de fapt. Mamă! Avem ceva de așteptat?
Look at them, Papa.
Avem ceva de așteptat pentru următorul match. 4 minute, nu-i destul de mult, dar totuși.
The crowd, the lights, the spectacle. I've become quite the celebrity in the Colosseo. They have chosen me. They call me La Lupa, the wolf. And I'm their villain. At first I hated it.
Eu cel puțin o să iau o pauză de mentenat, mă duc să îmi iau ceva să ronțăi și mă duc la toaletă.
Weak men who leached off of your greatness, picking the bones of everything you built, leaving me with nothing, surrounded by my enemies, alone. But you were preparing me for this, weren't you, Papa? In your way, you showed me that fear was a weapon. You helped me temper my wild and reckless nature with patience and guile. Taught me the value in knowing my enemy, in learning to turn their greatest strengths into their weaknesses. Even in death, you showed me the consequences of underestimating an adversary. I promise you, I won't repeat your mistakes. Look at me, Papa. This is no longer the face of your little girl. Your enemies are still my enemies. But I am so much more than you had the chance to see. My recklessness is now focused rage. And I finally embraced what I once hated. I am the wolf. I am La Lupa. They're right to fear me. They will respect me! This arena, this mob, this moment is all just a means to an end. Every lesson, every loss has been tallied and recorded. I will take back everything that was stolen from us. And I will use them to do it.
Chat, am revenit. Am revenit și cu meciul, ultimul match pe ziua de azi. SSG versus Peps. Hai să vedem.
The 2025 Overwatch World Finals is brought to you by DHL.
Welcome back, everybody. It's the final match of day one of the Overwatch World Finals, and we are here in beautiful Stockholm, Sweden, bringing you the hottest of Overwatch action. My name is Nekra, and I'm so stoked to be here once again alongside Johnny to bring us through our final match of the day. And what a banger we've got here. We've got Team Peps versus Space Station Gaming.
Hi.
This day has been a lot crazier than I actually thought it'd be. Look, I knew we were going to have some stomps in there. I think we had a couple of close matches. The way Varel took a map in all this Team CC, almost clutched it up against T1. That was quite surprising to me. So who knows what's in store for this last one?
I'm so excited because I feel like when we get a chance to look at both of these teams, I'm like, well, you know, it really could go either way. This is that one match where I said, maybe I do flip
50,
a coin,
50.
and that's how I end up doing my prediction for this one.
Yeah, I decided to make a stand in this one, but I'll unveil that later when we are actually previewing the match itself. But yes, this one really could go either way because, you know, we get a Peps team that find themselves in this kind of...
Facem un reset la live-ul lor repede. What? Nu spune că au tăiat iar audio, că-mi bat piciorul în ei.
Today we will be showing off Team Peps versus Space Station, but you missed action. If you were tuning in earlier on today, we can catch you up to speed in terms of the matches that you've missed. We had Team CC go up against T1, and the fact that Team Falcons and Vero was also 3 maps. Yeah, I'm hoping this one will also be the one.
I don't know, like, if a first to 2 can technically be a gigabanger. I think that's up for Twitch chat to decide. But I would say that those first 2 series were about as close to gigabangers as you could possibly get in a first to 2 format. And considering that we thought SSG Peps would be the closest series out of all these 4, I think there's a solid case to be made that this one might live up to the expectations.
All right, well, let's talk about Space Station a little bit more, though, right? Because I think this was a team that had a lot of high hopes, and especially looking forward to the first half of the OWCS season for 2025. I think it was a really big disappointment that Space Station didn't make it to the mid-season championship. That was a land they missed out on.
Yeah, absolutely. That was like a big regrettable for SSG, the fact they couldn't qualify in the first place. They made some changes going into this stage, of course, moving on from Bliss and Callan, and instead picking up Hawk, you know, who's returning to Overwatch after a bit of a hiatus, one of the best tank players to ever play the game from North America. And now going into this one instead, they picked up Led, and they've been looking really good, catering the Hawks playstyle of the D.Va and the Zarya. He's been one of the best players on those heroes. And so that has been enough in North America to really secure second place and provide some really solid performances. But I think the big question is now on the global stage. Is this going to be enough? Because earlier today, we've seen so many types of competitions, whether it's, you know, the Zarya, the Metra, the double flex support backlines. This is a team that generally wants to play the Lucio Kiriko and then play around Hawk, Steve, and Zarya.
And Sugar Free on the Tracer. As we just saw in our previous matchup, sometimes having a team identity can be a benefit. Maybe this is going to be the same case for Space Station, where they have played this team and this composition around the D.Va and the Zarya so much that they're able to translate that to success over any team.
Yeah, and even like Christopher said it at one point, that it's a pretty easy composition to play on land, because if you compare it to like a wrecking ball and you gotta coordinate a wrecking ball with a tracer, like there's a lot going on.
So much going on.
And so considering we've seen a couple of teams with some pretty questionable performances today, I think we can pretty much reliably consider SSG a good
cea mai questionable dintre toate a fost performanța la GK.
And as we look at Team Peps, who is going to be Space Station's opponent, this is a team that I think surprised a lot of people going through EMEA stage number 3. They are going to be coming in from that region, and hopefully they're feeling good. I mean, this is a team that I've always been so excited to see, whether it's been in Contenders or even here now in the Overwatch Champions Series. I hope that they're able to show us something really special, and I think that the players on the team can do that, but how will they fare against these top seeds from Korea, from Japan? Am I getting my head myself a little bit there?
Yeah, I mean, big question mark for this team, because a lot of people didn't expect Peps to be here in the first place, but then they take down Gen G, where there is an asterisk to be made. Of course, Exodial was having connective issues.
L-au ținut pe FD God! L-au ținut pe FD God!
They got the job done. They deserve to be here after the performances in the playoffs. Now the question is, like you said, how will they fare against these other teams? I would say that they've shown that they're really capable when it comes to taking down Symmetra teams, which there are plenty of in the European region. But now, if you have to play an SSG where Willis has a pretty similar hero pool to Hawk, how do you do in a mirror matchup? That is a big question mark for this team. And Dip is another individual that I'm looking out for, having mastered the Tracer throughout the NBA. Now you go against Sugar Free, who's one of the best Tracers in the world.
And I'm now looking also at Zara. When you look at the hit scan versus hit scan potential, I think Zara's spray and Sojourn has been very good throughout the stage, and you don't get a chance to accomplish beating Symmetra teams if you don't have a good DPS system to support you on that hazard, as we've seen Willis actually show us.
Willis,
but I think you make a great point. Is the hazard actually going to come out here? Likely not, since Space hasn't really shown us a whole lot of Symmetra. But then, yeah, how does the D.Va look? How does the Zarya look? And do we also see some strategic bans that come out that maybe prevent a good answer coming out from Team Peps?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of good bans that come out here. If you're Peps, I think you definitely have to look out for the Lucio ban onto Left. I think Left has a massive target because of some of his hero pool limitations, right? So Peps immediately feel like they can go there. Well, it's Peps. You know, they've been pretty comfortable, like, flexing around. We have times seen, of course, FD God play the Wu Yang along with the Lucio and the Brig, and Exterion as well, playing the Kiriko pretty reliably, right? So I feel like Peps, they've actually shown a little bit more flexibility than we've seen from SSG.
Well, I gotta say, Johnny, I've got Space Station in my predictions. I do still think that this is a team that will be able to figure it out. I want to give credit to Team Peps here, because I think, like, if there is going to be an upset, maybe this would be the match to get it done, but I still went with Space Station.
Yeah, I went with Space Station too in this one, actually, and I think it boils down to the tank head-to-head. I just feel like SSG are going to be very comfortable with this matchup against Peps, and I think that Peps will have to play at a different level against a composition that you don't really see as much of in the EMEA region. So on a pure head-to-head basis, I really feel like SSG should be able to wrap this one up.
Să facem un reset repede iar.
one, I will let him stake his claim to that later if that does come to fruition. But for now, let's go ahead and jump into our series, our final one of the day here for day one of the Overwatch Champions Series World Finals. Space Station and Team Peps ready to go. You can see Christopher Miles here alongside the rest of the Space Station squad. And that's another thing that did change
ultimul ăsta. Eu am așteptat tot live-ul pentru ăsta.
Space Station did hire Christopher onto the coaching staff, and he's the type of person that I feel like has such a legacy behind him. With the veterancy that also comes with this roster from Hawk, Sugar Free, already having experience in the Overwatch League, I think you have to look at Christopher as another one of those veterans that can help glue this team together, help them figure out those things like strategic bans and map picks that will help them find success.
Yeah, but even coaching the players up, right? And some of the players have publicly spoken about how much they appreciate having Christopher in the coaching staff. CG, of course, talked about how it's one of his favorite coaches he's worked with. Sugar Free, in an interview with Overwatch TV, talked about, I really love working with Christopher because he can explain things very succinctly, coach me up on heroes that don't typically play, like the Symmetra, for example. And we've seen how impactful Symmetra can be, and might not necessarily be a strength for SSG in a matchup like this. I don't think they necessarily want to take a Symmetra matchup, but if that is something that you can bring into the mix, that is a very useful hero to know. And Christopher, he provides the coaching necessary to bring them up to speed.
All right, well, no surprise here for our first map of the series. We're going to be going to Ilios. This is a map that Space Station have played a lot, and hopefully they have been able to kind of really figure out the way that you can get strength out of a Hawk Diva on a map like this.
Yeah, 100%. And they actually fared quite well against Team Liquid in the Grand Finals over in North America on this map specifically. They feel like they've got this map figured out. And considering that they have the Ilios map pick and then also the first ban, I can't wait to see what they've got planned for Peps here in this one.
Dacă le banează... Ok, Wu Yang și Diva. Ok.
SSG are going to ban out that Wu Yang. I talked about it. FD God likes to play
FD God tot e în regulă, că joacă Lucio.
They want to
da, ok, ce-i drept i l-a banat pe Wu Yang, dar... Cred că Lucio l-ar deruta mai mult.
The Nice Hawk, one of his best heroes.
I think the Diva ban is so smart, because then that really does force Space Station into a direction that maybe you are going to be able to expect to see the Zarya, be able to anticipate what that means for your own composition. And on the FD God point, I don't know if he cares. Or he's going to mind the Wu Yang ban. Like, he's already shown to be an incredibly proficient Lucio. And so maybe there's still comfort there. You don't have to worry too much about that Wu Yang being banned out. Even if you have had a lot of
with the style that is going to be required. I do think that SSG, obviously, they must have suspected that the Diva ban was going to come through, right? And so now, what do they actually have planned? Because I'm willing to say that even though the Diva is banned, their primary plan is probably still intact. And so what tank are we going to see?
Ai, frate.
I think on a couple of these maps, like maybe we'll just see both players cater to the hazard. It provides some mobility. What is still considered a quote-unquote off-tank hero, if you will. And that mobility can be really useful on a map like Ilios, of course. A lot of corners to try to secure.
Yeah, and I wonder then maybe Willis doesn't fear the little bit of a nerf that actually did happen to Hazard. Who knows if it's actually going to be impactful enough that Willis decides that Hazard isn't the right tank, but I think given the circumstances, if you have had a lot of experience on it, then
2 secunde. Știu că pare ciudat că fac asta în continuare, dar
do actually want to break it, who knows. But if you're tuning in, make sure that you have your connection to your account on Twitch so that you can get your drops.
Yeah, and today is obviously, we have individual drops for each single day.
Yeah.
November 26th.
We've gotten value today.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of value today. It's been a long broadcast, but today is the one of the days you can secure these ones, right? So we have drops for every single day here at the Overwatch World Finals. So make sure you tune in every single day and secure these free drops.
Did I hear that we have the other drops to show people?
Here we go.
Ooh, I didn't see these before. The weapon charm is so cute. So now you really got to tune in on the 29th.
Wait, the blue Dollahest?
Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah, it's very cute. Yeah, it's very nice. And here we go. The last day as well. Another one. So many horses.
I love the horse. Wait, give me the horse lore.
The horse lore? Well, I mean, it's made out of wood, and they were essentially toys like 100 years ago, before there were iPhones, iPads, before we had Twitter and TikTok and stuff like that. People were just like, well, we're going to play with these 3 horses, and it became a thing. So all the Swedish people, they grew up with toy horses.
I like that. Have you ever made one?
No.
Okay.
You think that I could carve a Dalahäst on
Well,
a piece of wood?
I mean, maybe.
You are massive.
Maybe it means that you have like the hand-eye coordination.
I know I'm Swedish, Rose, but like I can't wood carve.
Okay, well, I thought maybe you got the Swedish gamer buff, and that would make you good at carving
Who knows?
the little horses.
I've never tried, to be honest.
You gotta try now.
Okay, all right. I'll carve an Orisa first.
Okay, I like that. I like that idea. That's the newest drop for next season. Is a little
Dalahäst Orisa. I might have cooked here. Devs, hit me up.
There you go. Just waiting for our players to get ready, and then we will be able to jump into our first map of our final series that we have today. But I'm really looking forward to what's going to be coming up in the next couple of days as well, Johnny. Like, our first matches, they just make me so excited about how the rest of the World Finals is going to go. I wonder if this is the year we get a non-Korean team winning.
Okay, a lot of talk about the gap closing. I'm going to be a little pessimistic here. Let's see it first,
It's
all right?
not closing enough.
Yeah, we can't keep talking about how the gap is closing, and then the EMEA teams are not able to overcome some of the giants. Obviously, okay, fair enough. Crazy Raccoon, they departed from the Mid-Season Championship early. We won once. I say we. Bro thinks he's on the team. I'm not on the team. But there could be a chance, but I think it's...
Again, fac asta cu un scop. Eu n-am răbdare. N-am răbdare.
Maybe it's because it's cold here.
It's hopium. There's a bunch of hopium going around.
And it's cold.
I can't take it.
Oh, man. Yeah, but I have hopium because, I mean, just think about the way that these first couple of matches go.
N-am răbdare.
I guess, like, I want to believe. Johnny's like shaking his head at me. He's like, you can't keep going down.
The Varel match was an outlier. It must have been an outlier. Like, the Varel result is not indicative of Team Falcons at their very best. There's just no way. I refuse to believe.
Mă, nu mai dați. Nu mai prelungiți. Începeți odată meciul.
They're gonna hit the VOD review tonight. That's for sure.
Oh, that's gonna change everything.
Who knows? Maybe it will. Well, you definitely know that the other teams can't keep getting away with it. And if you want to be that world-class team standing above the rest at the end of the World Finals, then you do demand perfection of yourself.
Oh, 100%. And I think some of those players do. It's just been a bit... I guess we've been questioning Falcons at times when they're like, why are they dropping maps like this? You know, they made it pretty close at the Champions Clash as well in our first to 2 scenario. So it makes you wonder a little bit, but I think both of these teams, they're eager to capitalize SSG. I think have pretty high expectations of themselves, and now being here at the World Finals, they have the players capable to put forward some really good performances, but they gotta kick off things here against
And especially when a huge narrative for us has always been how do NA and EMEA stack up against each other, and we get a chance to see that clash a couple of times now. It's gonna happen again here between the number 2 seed, Space Station Gaming, versus the number 3 seed from EMEA, Team Peps. They come in with a lot of hopes and dreams. A team that maybe we didn't expect to see here, but they earned their spot at the end of the day. And a lot of it was just off the back of some amazing team coordination. You cannot deny how well Willis, Dip, Zaro, they really did work together. That Wooyoung from FD God also helping to just kind of enable a lot of the DPS plays that we saw from both of those players.
O să facă cele mai nasty drop-uri pe harta asta, zic eu.
Yeah, absolute demon on the half.
Ce-am zis că FD God joacă Lucio? Ce-am zis?
Spawn at least for the moment, so we'll see what they're
Da,
actually
nu, că gen Pep sau cea mai bună echipă cu Hazard.
I do think that the most recent patch have maybe hit them a little bit.
Au o șansă.
Slight nerf to
Au o șansă destul de bună, pentru că ăștia care joacă, gen, ok, nu vreau să aibă șansă împotriva lui Symmetra și
They are a very smart team, and they look very coordinated. That's how they were able to beat
s-au schimbat.
teams.
Au și Symmetra.
Going into this matchup,
Bun.
I've no doubt that they have a really good plan in store. Now it's all about executing.
As a reminder, Team Peps and Space Station, they have banned the D.Va and the Wuyang respectively. So Owcs does not have access to one of his signature heroes, and similarly for FD God cannot play the Wuyang. But as we enter out of the gates here, Team Peps, they're rolling out with something that we've already seen from them. Zaro and the Freya can make great use of these verticality, and then dip on the Tracer is still something that he is willing to lock in for this map. But on the side of Space Station, Sugar Free coming out with one of his pocket picks, the Echo. This is a flex DPS pick that we have not seen from him in some time.
Yeah, and it's actually really interesting now as Hawk is putting a lot of pressure onto this point, and Peps trying to rotate around this map and trying to find some of these picks. A lot of pressure on Dip here playing the Tracer, because Tracer is really good against both Freya and Echo. And if you can combine with Zoro, you should be able to secure an early kill, which should snowball the fight for Peps here. You can see them working around the map, trying to find a pick. But Dip goes down, and that's already a big advantage for Space Station. Team Peps will be forced to regroup.
Especially because Team Peps are split on this high ground. And this is the perfect opportunity for both Chronic and Lep to try to bully them off of the high ground, or at the very least, get a rotation on them so that they don't actually get an opportunity to use it.
Yeah, and you can see right now that Space Station are falling quite far back. We'll have to contest this point, and Hawk will step up to do so. But generally, they want Peps to rotate and make mistakes and try to find fixes with Freya and Echo. Will is working his way up a little bit here, but Team Peps, they haven't really been able to isolate the target just yet.
And Willis has to take some time to actually heal back up. That was a lot of damage that came in from both the Freya as well as the Zarya. Now that Willis has been topped up, there is an opportunity to actually dive in with this hazard. You can already see them kind of scouting for that. There's a Lucio all on his lonesome. Maybe Lep is going to be a big target here.
Tuna Rush here.
Yeah, and as the Kasuna Rush gets laid over the point, this is going to be the time for Team Peps to actually press the gas. With a big pick onto Hawk, you're going to at least reset the charge from that Zarya, and all of Space Station is also going to have to take a step back. They let Team Peps take control of the point.
Yeah, and I think you've seen that the ultimates are building quite slowly here, and I think that's just a testament to how slow Peps are playing this. They're playing it very methodically and waiting for the perfect moment to pounce. 53% for SSG. I'd say they're quite happy with that, because as they're coming up on this ultimate cycle now, they essentially just need to win a couple of fights, and if they get enough value from these ultimates, they're going to be able to secure the round. Peps, I think a lot of pressure on them here now to secure some initial picks with this Freya, with this Tracer, because they don't have the Kasuna Rush to rely on anymore.
Yeah, or the Pulse Bomb that
got nice with the sound barrier.
And that is not good. Not quite online yet, but now definitely not a factor in this fight. And that's going to let Space Station just get the point flip, only having invested at the Bola shot and a duplicate here.
Yeah, that's absolutely massive here. Peps, they're on a big hole right now, facing this difference in ultimate economy. And you cannot just have to take one of these ultimates. Maybe you can force out the Kitsune Rush with CJ wanting to hold this position on the point here. But realistically, you need to get an ultimate out and try to kite it. If you try to match his down barrier, it's going to be a loss for Peps.
With that Kitsune Rush still being in CJ's pocket, they can just wait for Team Peps to show up and then go ahead and let it rip, which is exactly what they do. They layer both support ultimates though.
L-a dat bine, nu?
Both CJ and Lep do not have access to that spell barrier, but as that overhealth is continuing to keep Space Station alive, Sugar Free, with a whole team effort, is able to take out Willis. And now with that main tank gone and both of these supports falling, this should just be cleanup here for Space Station. And if that's not enough, a grab on the side to ensure that no one else can touch the point. Space Station win the first round.
Yeah, very comfortable first round from SSG there. They secured the ultimate value like I talked about, but very early on in the round as well. Peps primarily struggling to find any picks with the Tracer and the Freya. And because they play this hazard composition, they're kind of reliant on securing those picks in the first place. You want someone to be able to put some initial damage out onto the SSG roster that someone can follow up on that. Of course, Dip is always lurking on the Tracer. So them not being able to secure one of these picks early, that really came back to haunt them later on in the round.
Look, and there weren't even that many kills that were traded across the board. You know, everybody dying really like only once. And so that really just, it is unusual. But that's to your point that you mentioned earlier, just how slow they were playing. They were just making sure that they weren't getting fully wiped.
Exactly. And so now you're seeing Peps, they're going to try to replicate this composition, but Willis is flexing over to the Zarya. Chronic here on the Ashe, of course, having received a buff recently. with even longer distance when it comes to the fall-off damage. And this is a perfect spot for Chronic to just pump out this damage. Now, Zoro playing this Freya, going to be a more mobile hit scan. There's a pressure on Zoro here to try to find damage on the Chronic and find an opening pick for Peps.
But I think maybe this composition is better for Space Station. With Sugar Free on the Echo, you can actually go in and kind of play, you know, mousetrap. You're going to try to sniff everybody out of there. At a Space Station, they actually end up getting control of this point first. You see Team Peps get that back up, and Willis is about to fall.
Again, yeah, Space Station is happy to sit back here, and Peps have struggled to create any kind of space that then leads to kills, right? They haven't really secured any map control as of yet. And like you said, I wouldn't necessarily say they're favored in the neutral matchup here. So you have to be relatively explosively here and try to get one of those picks. Dip, Zoro, let's see what you can do.
It's really on to Dip, and so at least this is going to be the first pick that maybe resets the course here for Team Peps. As Sugar Free goes down, this might be a little bit more opportunity for Team Peps to actually play a bit more front to back, and they should just kind of give it up again. They're not willing to invest unless they know they have a full team of 5.
Yeah, now we've got Kitsune Rushes coming up for either team here. This is all about limiting the Ashe as well. Peps, they should be pretty happy here, dropping an aggressive Kitsune Rush, and here they go.
And if that's not enough, then they actually have the sound barrier. Oh, no, he Ajaxed.
Oh, FD God.
There had to be one in this tournament, but unfortunately it's here. Without that sound barrier, Space Station, they're able to make great use of their own rush, and also the bomb thrown in by Chronic.
Oh my God, not like this.
Oh.
I mean, that looked really good for Peps, but you lose a sound barrier like that, that is costly. That is very costly. And now with no support ultimates available for Peps, you're gonna find a way back into this round. A pulse bomb from Dip, but with a Suzu on the field, it's going to be a massively difficult to get value from this one. Hawk has the Graviton Surge. How do you work around this one?
You would have loved to have the sound barrier for this, but unfortunately a solo grab there onto Willis is good enough. As we've seen Team Peps try to play things a little bit slower, Hawk only needs to invest that grab and get one.
Yeah, only needs to invest the one ultimate. And now you can see SG forward holding with 75% here. They can quite happily let this point go if they need to. They just need to find the picks necessary to close this round out. And Peps, they're gonna struggle to touch here. Pressure on Dip, on the Tracer. Needs to be the man to touch here. Oh, a nice opening pick from Serion.
Yeah, I mean, a pick onto CJ is good. That's actually a signal for Space Station to try to step back. But they still have the duplicates to work with here on the Echo, as well as their own sound barrier advantage. So as we see the overtime start to go, it's going to be another pick on Azaro, and I think the staying power on Team Peps is going to be quite limited.
Yeah, this is going to be really difficult for Peps here. Chronic goes down. You can see Peps trying to juggle this point. Leps going to pop this sound barrier if anyone starts from low. Willis, nice Graviton Surge.
Yeah, and as the sound barrier comes out to respond to it, there is going to be that duplicated Graviton Surge from Sugar Free that might just seal the deal. As Miriam does actually build up to the Kitsune Rush. Nobody touches the point. And Johnny, that's a tough way to finish out that first map, but it does go to Space Station.
Oh, they were very much in that one, was Peps. Wow. That is a very tough Ruins round for Peps there. Obviously, the first one on Well looked very one-sided. SSG looked fully in control. But Peps, they should have brought that round closer. It's just not the way you want the World Finals to kick off. Obviously, just one map. You can bring it back. It's first to 2. You win your own map pick. Who knows about map 3? But that's a tough go for Peps. You really didn't get any momentum going in the first series, and you gotta go off to a hot start here in the tournament.
It was tough to get a full team fight. Both teams very content with, hey, if we're a player down, we're just not going to invest in this fight. We'll wait for them to come back, play it slow, and that's why we saw very few eliminations actually get traded in either of the rounds we saw.
Yeah, it was a very slow matchup. And obviously, it's tough for Peps because, like we talked about, they didn't have an advantageous neutral when it comes to the damage output. They had to work some of those angles. And that takes a lot of time. You know, for Dip, for example, you know, you're probably going to work the inner side of the point to get the flank ready so you can capitalize with the rest of your team. So Peps, we talked about them being methodical. They definitely showed that they were methodical. But even if you're methodical, you need to execute well. You need to find the picks necessary to open things up. And as we take a look at the stats, like they just weren't able to find them.
Dip.
Yeah, but look, I think you can't look at the damage too much, I feel like, because it's all about them being clinical and securing the frags without the much damage done. I think this was just the case of they weren't able to combine for those eliminations, right? So if you're going to play this slow style, methodical style, to try to build up into these team fights, a lot of staging being done, you need to be able to secure the picks, and they just couldn't. The damage players on the side of Peps here, relatively quiet.
I think that was more of the point I wanted to illustrate, is the fact that your supports are doing more damage than you. I think just does sell that picture even more. And I wonder how Team Peps would do if maybe they actually switched Dip to a different hero. But we haven't really seen much of that in Stage 3. For Team Peps, there really has been this Tracer, Zoro, and some type of hit. And then Willis on Hazard as kind of like that final way to secure their road to the Overwatch World Finals. So do we actually see adjustments from them? It's hard to say.
Well, I think Willis is playing comfort heroes. The Hazard, the Zarya, those are obviously the heroes that Willis feel very comfortable on, and I don't think we'll see any switch-ups from either of these teams when it comes to the tanks specifically. But I think you could have made the case that you're seeing the damage duos being played, and on the side of SSG, you had the Echo, you had the Ashe. Like, do we want to be more aggressive with our speed? Do we want to bubble our Tracer to try to get some momentum going and put pressure on SSG? I don't think Peps were able to do that, but now they get second map pick. They go to the map of their choosing, and we'll have to take a look what they have in store. Yeah. Because I don't, honestly, I wouldn't have expected SSG to pick Ilios in the first place. So maybe it was a case of not feeling too comfortable on that map. It's not a win condition for Peps in this tournament to win Ilios necessarily. It's not a map that this team specializes on. So surely they must have good maps in store when it comes to the second map pick here.
Yeah, Space Station look focused. They look like they don't want to take the easy. They don't want to take the hard road. They want to make sure that this is going to be a match that is very decisively in their favor. And I think it would be a little bit nerve-wracking maybe if we don't actually see this go convincingly towards Space Station.
Yeah, I think SSG are definitely wanting to.
Eu tot mă aștept la un comeback, eu nu mă las.
2-0 would be amazing for them, and then a matchup waits against Crazy Raccoon, which, look, it's Crazy Raccoon, but we've seen some crazy things today, so who am I to judge what that matchup would look like? But I think that would be a massive hurdle to get through if you're SSG, because I think you're pretty happy just even if you end up in the lower bracket, just the fact that you've won a match already, you know that your composition is working. It's something you can feel comfortable on for the rest of the tournament. So Peps here, they go towards New Junk City. And again, both teams probably very happy to play a map like this because it caters to the tank players.
Yeah, I'm pumped to see it because obviously this is one of the newer maps entering the pool for the World Finals. We haven't seen it in a hot minute, but it's already delivered some really fun moments today as we've started off our competition here. And New Junk City is like, I look at that and I go like, wow, Hazard would be kind of nice.
Hazard would be kind of nice. Yeah, it's definitely a hero that can work here. I think there's a lot of tanks that are pretty viable here in New Junk City if you want to play any kind of brawl.
Yeah.
I think what is going to be interesting is the flex DPS pick here, because typically Tracer has always been a fantastic hero on a map like this. But I think at this point, you could go in a different direction. A niche pick here would be something like a Genji. We saw Viper pop off on Genji here earlier today for T1. But Venture is always a solid pick on this map. And I talked about going into this series about how both Sugar Free and Dip, they love playing the Tracer. But is this going to be a map where either of those change?
Okay,
the Tracer ban from Peps, actually. They do not want to play against Sugar Free's Tracer.
And I don't blame them. Sugar Free is a world-class Tracer. If you take that out of the pool, though, I think this is where we get a testament of Sugar Free's flexibility. He does have a fantastic Genji. We just saw him play the Echo to success on Ilios. that is a hero pick we
Cred că
could
mai bine banați
actually see
Eco,
here
da.
on New Junk City, or at the very
Ei
least we
decid.
get to
Bă,
see
bine că nu mai avem parte de
show us
pasiune de la
more.
Matra. E ok.
Get us prepared for the tournament ahead that is going to demand
Bine, și așa
more than
Ramatra
just
e un
Tracer out of
counter
that
pentru...
Yeah, I would love to see the Genji come out because the sugar-free Genji is legendary, of course. But I actually think there's a different hero here that SSG have sometimes played. It's a style that also involves the Zarya from
Dau un reset la live să știu o treabă.
Zarya Reaper in EMEA, of course, as well. Gen G was a team that really enjoyed playing that kind of a composition. For Peps, though, really don't know where they're going to go with this one because we haven't really seen Dip flex as much. He's talked openly about how he loves playing a hero like Sombra, but I think that's pretty hard to make work here because Sombra would be so exposed.
And it's slower than Tracer, it feels like sometimes.
It is slower, but if you have the comps and you're able to make it work, I actually think Sombra is a bit of a dark horse hero, if you will, this tournament. I think there's quite a bit of capable Sombra players in this tournament, like Lip. That's always the first name out of my mouth when it comes to Sombra players. But I think that Sombra has the use case. I just don't think it's going to be on a map like New Junk City to kick us off.
I think you're right. It would be very interesting to see the Reaper come out here. And I think, like, I agree with you, but I wonder, do you only play for first point and then you switch? I think there is going to need to be some amount of heads-up play. Like, okay, we've got this 1 point. That's the strategy. Then switch. I think some teams sometimes they get stuck in like the, well, it worked, so we don't have to change it. But now it's not working, and we've taken too long to actually fix the problem.
Yeah, I think what's good though is that Reaper, I think, is fairly viable on all of these points. Primarily, I think we saw earlier today, and Team CC were running May on all 5 points. And that was a bit of a question mark to me. It's just like, okay, you're forcing May on the outdoor points here on New York City. That's quite difficult. Obviously, made that
your own
very
kill
close.
box.
Yeah, good luck with that. But I do think that the Reaper should be quite decent on all of these points. And it's a very difficult playstyle to deal with if you don't know how to match it, if you don't know what the counter is, if you can't disengage and try to force the star bubbles out or get the Reaper away from you. So Dip here is hovering the Mei, which is another great hero. Obviously, I just mentioned, we saw it earlier here on New Junk City today. But are we going to see Dip roll out on it? I can't say that I've seen Dip play the Mei too much.
It really just has been permanent Tracer. But this would be the time if Team Peps were going to show us that they have a chance in this tournament. I think it starts with being able to see Dip play something else and actually get a map win with it. So as the gates open up, it is going to be a symmetric teleport out of spawn for Team Peps. Dip does stay on the Mei, bolstered up by this Zarya that's coming out from Willis. As we see Space Station match that, it is going to be a sugar-free Echo to start things off.
Wow, Sugar-Free is really committed to here. You really only gotta look towards Hawk. You gotta force these star bubbles out, and there is the wall. Pressure put on Hawk, and he goes down immediately, caught by Dip's wall.
Wow, I mean, that is one way to do it. We talked about it. Make your own kill box. You just put a wall behind that player you're trying to isolate, then that's easy picking. So Team Peps, they get control of the flashpoint first.
Yeah, and there's a bit of a timer here that Space Station has to live through. They have to be wary of the speed boost from FD God as Peps are going for these kind of rotations. And they need to wait out this ice wall from Dip, of course, so they can capitalize with their damage coming in from all directions. Chronic, Sugar-Free. Another wall here on the Hawks, going to narrowly escape. Minor mistake from Dip there, actually. And now SSG, they can start surrounding Peps and poke them from all kinds of angles.
But I would start to get a little bit worried because the longer this goes on, the closer that Zerion is going to actually get to a Kitsune rush. Zoro goes down first. So it might not be something that Team Peps actually wants to invest in, even if Zerion just earn it. And as Willis falls, this is a surefire reset from Team Peps.
Yeah, so tricky spot there. Dip wasn't really able to catch Hawk the second time. And like we talked about, the damage players just rose up for Space Station. Chronic finding an early pick there, and great to see Chronic getting some momentum on that hit scan hero as well. Now coming into the very first ultimate fight here. And if you can force out an early ultimate here from Peps, that would be absolutely massive, because if you are Space Station, I don't think you're too worried about giving up this space. You don't really want to fight against a Mei in this initial close quarter.
And then you can worry about cycling through with Sugar-Free's duplicate as well as this overclock from Chronic. that was able to earn up in that last fight. So Zerio's going to be the first to pull the trigger. It's going to be the Kitsune rush. But Chronic taking an off angle is going to pop that overclock. But great sight lines onto the rest of the team. Unfortunately, CJ gets hung out to dry and cannot invest his own Kitsune rush into this fight. And Sugar Free gets got out of the duplicate immediately.
Yeah, that's really bad for Space Station. It actually looks like Peps are going to secure this very first point. CJ dying early, not being able to drop that Kitsune rush in time. And Space Station, they have the ultimate bank required to probably win this point, but an early pick for Peps secures the very first round for them.
Bravo,
Clinical goes back to how Space Station had wanted to play this alongside Team Peps. They know if they lose the fight, they don't want to overextend ultimates, because it's going to be about that patience at the end of the day that might be able to knit you the series win as a whole. But as we enter into this next flashpoint, it's going to be all eyes on Hawk. Has this Graviton Surge ready to rip, and CJ holding on to that Kitsune rush. This might be a great way to open up the next fight.
Oh, but Dip actually catches Sugar Free with an icicle, and that is massive. CJ going to drop the Kitsune rush still. They think they can win this, but Hawk goes down as well. 5 versus 3 situation. Graviton Surge from Willis is going to be enough here to pick up another extra kill, and that should be Peps securing the point there. That is a blessing for Peps that Dip was able to find an early pick.
But that was also still so much ultimate investment. They used the Graviton Surge there as well as the Blizzard. And that's going to leave Space Station with that sound barrier advantage. Oh, but Zoro, actually, he pulls the trigger really early. With the overclock out, it's going to force that sound barrier out of Lep. And so that is going to be a useful tool for them, as Sugar Free is also able to take out Zoro. So Space Station come back in, they see the Mei Ice Wall come out, and now this is a chance for them to use this pressure from the Lucio, actually get this Graviton Surge to land. Even just one would be good enough to extend Space Station's time on this flashpoint.
And I actually love the decision from Peps here to rotate around. They don't want to fight Hawk there in that room, recognizing that Hawk has the Graviton Surge. So they take the extra time required to pivot around here. Graviton Surge comes out, Kitsune Rush as well, but there's no stun barrier to keep Peps alive. They're trading though, Willis with 2.
No!
Willis with 2, and the fact that you still have this healing coming out from FD God means that Willis and Dip, they're not in danger of getting killed. They can stay on this flashpoint. They've already gotten 50%, and it's going to be on Space Station now to come in with this duplicate.
Yeah, and Chronic is trying to take the off angle here. Good start as well. Sugar Free, let's see who it duplicates actually. Lots of different heroes available. It's going to be the Staria for some extra pressure on this point. The extra 50% ult charge would be massive to get this Graviton Surge online. No sound barrier. Easy clean up for Sugar Free. And they're looking quite good on this second point as well. Now, you can push up freely here, scout out what the enemy team is doing. And if you make things difficult for Peps here, it should be the final fight.
You have this Blizzard coming up shortly from Dip, and resounding sound barrier here from FD God. So I feel like maybe Team Peps, if they can get on the point, they might be able to take this.
Yeah, but they gotta get there safely though, and they gotta build these ultimates. Space Station, they'll be looking to find a pick early here. No ultimates on their side. They have to go for a crazy play. They have to force an error.
I mean, Chronic can play at range here with the Sojourn. Maybe that's going to be the first pick that Space Station needs. But FD God uses this sound barrier very aggressively to get the jump on Lep. So now that Lep is out of the picture, it's going to be Team Peps that has more speed in their favor. And as Space Station walk back in, they could either use the Kitsune Rush to close the gap, but they're going to be walking into a Blizzard, and maybe they don't even need it. Zaru's good for a kill onto Hawk. And with that, this is going to be the second flashpoint going over to Team Peps.
Yeah, they're looking mighty comfortable right now, and Lep dying is so tragic there because SG were looking for the re-engage with the Kitsune Rush. Your speed, it just wasn't enough there, and Peps quite comfortably pick up the second point as well. But that was an indoor stage. Obviously, it helps Dip get some value from that Mei. Now when we move over to a more of an outdoors point, this should be better for Sugar Free Echo to get some value.
You would think so, but the way the Team Peps are playing this, they can still pull the trigger with the Blizzard. It's actually going to be a trade as Dip trades for Hawk, and then we will still see Space Station Gaming actually get a bit of a player advantage. Maybe this means they can win this fight raw without having to use any ultimates. This would be a big economy advantage for them.
Do we grab here? Oh. Willis actually trades out left there. That was a very tricky spot. I saw the Suso being popped by CJ, and I thought for a moment that maybe the defensive tools weren't enough. This point is yet to be capped, actually. as we just traded back and forth.
Peps,
Lots of ultimates coming up for Space Station, but Peps already have them. Zoro popping the overclock along with Chronic. Zoro finds one.
Okay, good enough now. Sugar Free was working up to that duplicate, so that's not something that they're going to have access to if this fight prolongs. Hawk not able to get that Graviton Surge either. So Team Peps, they take control first. And Johnny, it's looking good here for Team Peps.
Yeah, it's looking really good, and this is a spot as well where you can play aggressively. Zoro finds a late pick onto CJ as well. Quite a stagger. Now, left past this sound barrier, but he's not going to be able to navigate both the Graviton Surge and the Blizzard. And you can see Diff lurking, hiding here. They're going to choose to back off. Engage.
But I think that's actually a benefit to Team Peps. Actually, look at the rotation that Willis is trying to take into the back line of Space Station. They've already forced out the sound barrier with the use of the Graviton Surge. There's a late Blizzard, and Willis unfortunately does eliminate himself with his own Zarya damage. But now Space Station have a chance to fight back. They do use the duplicate from Sugar Free to get out of the Mei, and they're gonna think about maybe using this Graviton here, but Hawk goes down. Now it's going to be up to this Kasuna rush from CJ to actually be the difference maker to deny Team Peps from getting a 3-0 sweep on Flashpoint. But FD God actually takes out the Kiriko. So Team Peps, like, they're on some literal slivers of HP, but they're making it work, and FD God even gets another one.
Yeah, they really were in that fight because of the FD God sound barrier, but one has to ask himself if that was the moment to really pop it. You could have saved those ultimates to give yourself a better chance in the end. Now you walk into this one. Exterion yet to build the Kasuna rush, which is pivotal. So you're relying on Zoro to kick out things off with this overclock. Maybe try to get out this Hawk Graviton Surge early. That would give you a better advantage if there were to be a second fight after this one.
It's possible. I mean, these fights have turned pretty scrappy, especially with the actual architecture of this point. Zoro can take an off angle with this overclock, is going to let it rip, and Hawk is going to respond to that with the Graviton Surge. But where are the kills? Zarya lets his Kasuna rush over the point, and Zoro is able to take out CJ. And as Hawk falls, this looks like a Team Peps victory. They just need to clean up a couple of picks, and maybe Space Station gets themselves back in this with Sugar Free's duplicate. Can he actually use this to try to extend the overtime on this point? As he uses the Zarya, the overtime wick expires. And Team Peps, they win map number 2 versus Space Station.
Okay, all right. They're getting a little bit excited about it, tying the series up. They feel like they had one hell of a performance on New Junk City, and why wouldn't they? Looking real clean, playing that Mei composition, and credit to the entire team for making that work against the Graviton Surge. Diff walling off his team to gain the extra survivability needed to live through, and Zoro on the off angle with the overclock made things really difficult for SSG in the end. And so they pick up their map win here, their map pick, and force a third and final map. Another banger on our hands here, Rose.
I know. A full 3-map series here in our first to 2 upper bracket, round number 1. And where do we go from here? Because it's been night and day. Even though both of these maps, they can play pretty similarly in terms of having this off-tank head-to-head with the Zaryas, they didn't do that on Ilios, but clearly on New Junk City, they did it and made it work.
Yeah, they looked really comfortable playing this Mei, and I think that's pretty scary for Space Station wherever they take this, because it's a face style that they have to be wary of. I don't think they want to play into a Mei, and I don't think they want to play into a double flex support lineup if we were to see the Wuya and Kiriko come out from Team Peps, of course. So SSG in a bit of a tricky spot here with their own map pick to head into this final map of this first 2 series. And then they gotta give credit to Dip here, who actually executed on this Mei, found plenty of value. Again, we haven't seen Dip flex around too much in this stage for Peps. But he made the Mei work.
Yeah, and that's where I'm getting nervous. But I'm also very happy to see this, because that was a question mark that we had after that first map. Can Dip play something else? The Tracer just looked too slow, and it didn't really feel like a huge factor being able to actually execute on the game plans that Team Peps had for Ilios.
Yeah, 100%. And now, just reviewing the gameplay here, I gotta say that, like, the Echo, I know that it's a really strong hero, but Sugar Free just wasn't able to find the picks required, didn't get enough value in this matchup. But that's the difficulty with the Tracer ban. Like, what would have really gone to? I'm not sure that Reaper would have been enough.
And I don't think
the Mei would have been able
either.
to slow things down, right? So yeah, both the Genji and the Reaper would have been really difficult to play into a composition like that, which I think also speaks to the power of Mei. Mei is a really strong hero and alternative right now if you don't want to take these more mechanical head-to-head duels.
Yeah, that was a very brief glimpse at the head-to-head between Sugar-Free and Dip. And, you know, it is a bit of a stark contrast in terms of how much damage we've seen, but I do think that part of that is just how one-sided Ilios looked and how impactful Sugar-Free was in that first map.
Yeah, I mean, Dip caught up on New Junk City because they were in quite the hole after that first map. They didn't really have anything going for them on Ilios, but evening things up here between both a damage player after 2 maps. And Sugar-Free, I mean, he is the carry player for this team so many times. Stage 3, Stage 2, like Sugar-Free came up clutch, took SSG across the finish line. And I know we're in a bit of a different meta here. Tracer not as reliable off a pick, but Sugar-Free still has to step up.
FD God a cărat mai mult decât
I wonder if you go to
Deep. Dar și Deep a jucat foarte bine.
There are so many maps, Rose. Like, it's so hard to predict what the map next map is going to be.
I'm kind of thinking like push. No, because Tracer is now off the table. You can't ban it again, or maybe you don't want to if you are Space Station.
Yeah, I mean, Space Station would love to see a Tracer map because we've been able Sugar-Free to play that hero, yeah.
So I wonder maybe that is where they would go.
Yeah, it's definitely an option. You know, if you wanted to go to something like a new Queen Street, you know, we've seen SG play both Zarya, Reaper there in the past. And you can obviously play the Tracer. You got plenty of flank angles if need be. But realistically, I'd say that there are so many great Tracer maps in this pool to begin with. You know, we haven't even mentioned any of the payload maps. It's going to be Route 66.
Route 66, okay.
So this is a really interesting map
Foarte
pick,
interesant.
actually.
Cartea asta nu e bună de Tracer,
if
ce e ok.
like to play that hero, and maybe favor
nu lasă pe Sugar-Free să joace
and
Tracer.
also, I'd say that it's a pretty good echo map at times as well, right?
Da, e o hartă foarte busted pentru echo, sunt de acord. Și...
To go for some big assassinations onto the
Bravo, mă!
But Peps is gonna ban it out. They
Au banat bine! Au banat bine,
So valid though, because I think you're right. Imagine just like that two-pronged attack from a Sugar-Free Echo as well as a Chronic
Să eu cum realiza ce-a banat
SSG.
Brigit?
From being able to actually kind of like play on the high grounds of Route 66.
Da, no.
All those buildings make it so much easier. I think that Freya could still be very valuable here, but it makes sense you want to at least take one of those options out of the equation. But the Brig
Păi și ce nu se pune pe Eco în pula mea dacă are pe Eco pe Freya? Nu cred că s-ar pune pe Freya, Zoro. Zoro cred că rămâne tot
And you know,
asta.
You have already burned the Booyang ban on Ilios. I wouldn't be too surprised if, you know, Peps, depending on defense attack, etc. If they wanted to play something like a Booyang in this one, as we take a look at Willis, of course.
Oh, that's cool.
Now faces an option himself. Yeah, he's posing. He faces an option himself of what are we going to play on this one, because I think Hawk pretty obviously is going to flex over to the Diva. He's going to be very comfortable playing that hero on this
fuck,
one.
dar chiar o să schimbe pe Diva.
I think he could still play this Zarya. If you really want to, I mean, it could be hard. It definitely could still be hard. And I think that's why the Echo ban is very impactful. If there was going to be one thing that would really destroy something like this Zarya or make it more difficult to run, I do think it would be an aerial unit. Echo, Pharah, that's something that Zarya might not have very good access to damage-wise. But you have like good stair access to a lot of these high grounds on Route 66. So I don't think that Zarya is out of the question.
Yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, Zarya could be used, and you can definitely, you obviously jump from the payload on certain rooftops as well, so you can gain that high ground if you want to. I would prefer a more explosive option. So even if we saw Willis play the Diva himself, you know, could obviously do that, or the Hazard. I think you even have to consider the Hazard quite viable here in a matchup like this. So again, I think both teams are going to play comfort. I think that's the story of the game. No team is going to be uncomfortable heading to a map like this. But a big question for a Dip as well. Are you going to play the Tracer now? Are we going to see a bit of a Tracer head-to-head? Plenty of alternatives for either team.
I think that Mei could still be good on this map.
Nu, să rămână Mei, să rămână Mei. Te rog eu, Doamne, să rămână Mei.
Like, but there's certain points of Route 66 that, like, you know, I have flashbacks to the like lower tunnel hold on first point of just having the Mei there. The turtle.
I am haunted by people playing Mei on third point in this in my ranked game.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, I'm like low GM, so I'm not a pro player
Să-ți dau un reset repede.
here because that obviously was an issue for Peps. And so they're quite happy to get that hero off the board. Could be a decent Sombra map. I don't expect it, but there's quite a few health packs to hack if you would like. But it's going to be Dip rolling out on the Mei. You called it, Rose.
I just think that because it gave so much trouble to Space Station, I think that the Mei can still have that mental edge, you know?
Diva.
You don't want to play against
No,
it.
for sure.
So
Can have a
you
mental
just
edge.
try it.
No, I mean, you have to work around it and Space Station.
Emotional damage.
Yeah, they proved on New York City that they weren't quite able to navigate around the Mei. So Mei secured a lot of value there. And obviously Root, different map design here. So like I said, Mei is going to have a tougher time. But it's definitely still a threat you have to be wary of. And as well, it's a lot of objective pressure. And so even though Space Station, they have to be wary of this Mei, playing a lot of the cards, stalling the payload, and buying a lot of time for this Peps defense now.
Oh, but look at this. Hanzo and Widowmaker as just a quick look, see if you can get a pick from Space Station. And as you see how close Team Peps are making that hold, one pick could have done it. But Space Station are going to settle into Freya and Tracer to start off their attack.
Yeah, and I actually don't mind the composition from SSG, especially what you're facing with Team Peps here. And I think you're going to see here with Dip maneuvering this Mei onto the payload. They want to make space for FD God and Soro to get tons of damage in. And part of that is going to be Dip stalling the card, but an early death there is going to set them back, and they're going to lose a lot of this space onto this high ground. It's a great opportunity for Space Station to grab control of this point and make a retake difficult.
Yeah, because you can just play under big girls if you're sugar-free, whereas Team Peps are going to want to stay on top just to wait for Dip to actually get back and go in for a full recontest. But look at where Willis is. Willis is actually on the high ground, playing in the canyon here. This is I guess still buying some time, but it's leaving room for this Space Station squad to actually take that big girl's high ground control away from them.
Yeah, and Hawk is actually getting a lot of damage worth here. We are seeing FD God is getting closer to that Wu Yang ultimate. Got some damage coming in here. But you can see they're just stalling the court at this time. Peps, they're being very patient. They're waiting. Here comes the Wu Yang ultimate into the backline. We go. Nice move there by Lep, actually, preventing the value coming across. But Hawk is going to go down. Great distraction play by Peps.
Yeah, that was perfect because it did leave Hawk isolated from the rest of the team. While Space Station's backline was looking at Willis with that tidal blast, knowing that they cannot get knocked down to that, there was just no support there for Hawk in the front line. So Team Peps, they do get a chance to stabilize, but Space Station have 3-4 ultimates coming into this next fight.
Yeah, the big problem is, though, that you're going to have to use the Cinema here aggressively, and they trade them, both teams. Space Station able to get on top of Peps, and they should have no problem cleaning up Peps in this one. Should they be able to get a recontest here, it's going to be very difficult. With no speed on the side of Peps here, this should be Space Station pushing this card in.
Yeah, and there's going to be a swap already. Willis doesn't want to play that D.Va anymore, decides to match Hawk on the Zarya.
Yes, indeed, and you already have the high ground on the second point, so you don't have to worry too much about contesting the enemy team. You're going to be a bit behind here when it comes to the ultimate charge.
Okay,
but
Willis s-a băgat
the Zarya and the Mei, they're going to be really good at holding this choke point here. So let's see what
s-a băgat înapoi Zarya și Mei.
Let's Space Station gaining as they attack this second point.
E perfect.
Here's our two.
I'm right. Hit his feet. One dot, top right. No wave. One dot. Push left. I can walk. They're above. Just go well. Vida.
Nice.
So okay. Nice one. Let me know. I'm behind them. Oh, I'm dead. No grav. Just Bob. They have mail now.
We gotta try to get out the
their wolf is close as well.
Yeah, they will too.
De ce n-au banat? Da, eu nu înțeleg de ce SSG au banat Brigit în loc să baneze Mei. Sau... Bine, și ăștia proști, dar... Na, vedem acum ce...
No shift.
top. Sorry, top. Sorry, top. No, no, no. Sorry. May one. Anyways.
Mamă, ce panicat.
I'm with you. No trade. Ashman. Make it hard for the roll. Yeah. He's top. Can someone else pair? I want to stuff. Yeah, I can. I'm with top right now. I have rush. Okay, May also, right? Yeah. May Wu. Cool. Where's CD's on their walk for my bowler? Holding bottom left. I'll take car, you guys go. Three bottom left. Playing top. Top. Yeah. 3, 2. Oh shit. Fuck. You're fine. Actually, Sorry.
Space Station are approaching the second checkpoint, and as they do that, let's see how Team Peps are going to respond on this defense to prevent that.
Mamă.
Take top. Can you I want to blast you with this. Yeah, I try to take aggressive. Wait. Go to I can push. I don't have the port. Give me I have to try to walk left. How much speed? I cannot reach. Yeah, shoot. Play under, make a line.
N-are bubble.
Reset. I can give you TV.
N-are, deep e mort, fuck.
I go you. You stay May or not? I think so. Okay. I'm dead. I'm dead. We can hold. I keep just play a bit more fast, okay? Yeah, what do you know? That beat grab 60. Beat grab 60, okay. Farm or grab? Can you hold close? Yeah. Oh, wait. Fit right. Yeah. I have to drop. She's I'll take top. She's fine. Yeah. I want to look for grab. Okay, I want to look for grab and look for speed. Let me top my yeah, I can't. Fit me. Join you. Just shoot just focus on Fit ping me. I can't join you with this. Yeah. Finish it. I'm thinking of main. I can push main. Can you drop main? I'm on. Push main. Kill it for trade. Yeah, I walk up. Q low. I'm sorry. Step on.
Space Station Gaming seem to think they can get through this first part of the third point just on that sound barrier alone. So we do see that commit, and now they're loaded for this final part of the point.
Yeah, and they have all the space required as well, so Team Peps are going to have a difficult time working out of their spawns. A lot of pressure onto them early. Willis could have a massive graviton surge here, but who are you really going to isolate?
Oh, it's going to be Hawk to pull the trigger first, and Willis actually tries to throw it out as a desperation move. You saw the supports get hit by that on the high ground, but CJ is able to swift step away, and all the while, Space Station are continuing to come up with kills. No. So this should be this final third point confirmed for Space Station. We do see Zerion throw out this Kitsune Rush just for that last little bit, and Willis does come back out on the Wrecking Ball to try to get that stall, but it's looking tough. Especially now that CJ can invest his own sound. Kitsune rushed into this. That's it, and Space Station will capture all 3 points.
Yeah, the defense really got away from Team Peps on that. Lost control on the second point and immediately lost the third point as well. I feel like the May got a lot of value early on as they put pressure onto the card and created enough distance for their backline. But then later on in this map, really didn't get enough value from the May to justify it. And we heard in the comms as well, Peps were asking like, hey, are you gonna stick on the May? Dip decided to stick with it, but it didn't work out that time. Maybe that's going to affect their approach a little bit when they decide to attack.
Maybe you just use it for that first point, and that's it. And then that's kind of the problem that we were talking about. Maybe you just realize a little too late that you should have switched to something else. And unfortunately, it was kind of a steamroll after that second point when Space Station finally figured it out. But even from them, they kind of sounded a little disjointed in terms of what they wanted to accomplish on that second point when we first listened in.
Yeah, it was definitely a little bit disjointed. But that's going to happen, you know, in some of these official matches, right? So I don't think that is too unexpected. I will say that though, SSG, they look so much more comfortable. When they got through the gates on second point, from that moment on, like they were set up and ready to go. Hawk was pocketed onto the Zarya, and they just didn't lose a beat from that time on. Now Team Peps, they're gonna have to reestablish and get some of this map control, right? Working the angles here on the offense. Dip is gonna need to have some big impact onto the Tracer here. Let's see if Team Peps can put up a reasonable time here, capture out the map, and force overtime.
Yeah, 43 seconds left in the bank here for Space Station as they complete Route 66. And now it's Team Pep's turn. As they come out of the gates here on their attack, it's going to be Willis locking in the Zarya again. But this time we see Dip start on the Tracer right away.
Yeah, and that is almost a must. On a point like this, you're going to need to play these flank angles, put some additional pressure onto the Zarya, force bubbles with some of these pillars protecting you, of course. And Zoro, early pick on the Chronic. Whoa. That is a massive pick for Peps.
I mean, that just is going to give you so much space, and especially because Chronic was holding on to so much of this high ground presence. Going to give Willis an opening to actually try to match Hawk on this high ground. And Zoro can start to make this rotation for an off angle.
Yeah, I mean, this off angle is great now for Zoro. Just looking for this railgun. If he can find another one, has to be wary of the Freya. Does get poked down, get healed up in turn. But SSG, they look to have reset quite comfortably here now. Willis putting pressure on this card, but SSG should be able to get the jump anytime they see some opportunity.
And you can see just how Sugar Free wants to play this matchup. A lot of it with this Tracer is putting pressure onto Willis so that you're using those Zarya bubbles early, or you're demanding a lot of the healing resource out of FD God or Zerion. Owcs is still on this high ground too, and as he's able to wail away with 100 energy, just kind of sending it over the edge, this is going to really put the hurt onto Willis.
Oh?
But Zerion, they come up really big in this fight, and now that front line is gone. It's on Space Station CPS, and even committing the sound barrier into this to try to secure the defense.
Wow, they're really pushing, but they're not contesting the card either. Sugar Free gets the pick on FD God, but that sound barrier is used for nothing.
And they get the point!
Yeah, they just push in the card because there's no one there to contest. So a bit of a wasted sound barrier there from SSG. Obviously, they could have gone for that. There was perhaps an opportunity, but to not be able to make it work with a point contest in the first place, that just feels absolutely brutal. And now, Team Peps an opportunity to snowball with this Kitsune Rush early. Hawk has the Graviton Surge. Let's see if you want to put it out there to retain some of the space. They're going to back off temporarily.
I mean, you do have a combo there as well with the grab. You can also throw in the bola shot as he gets this high ground control. He does have a great sight line to try to group up everybody on Team Peps, but everyone's kind of playing apart until now. And as you do see the overclock come through from Zoro, it's a great Graviton Surge. You don't even need to throw anything else on top of it for Chronic to just get set up to click some heads.
Yeah, Hawk has done his job with a massive Graviton Surge there that keeps Space Station in control on this second point. And they're not scared to push up here a little bit. They want Peps to waste resources early on here. Hawk can build some extra ultimate charge. Now the big thing is you have to get out, of course. Dip already putting pressure onto this card, flanking around a little bit. So Hawk is fairly isolated here. He's going to drop low, actually. I think he's counting on the rest of his team backing him up. Kitsune gets dropped by CJ. Chronic finds a pick on the Zoro here. So they're going to make this spawn hold work for the time being. And it's a powerful position to be in, because if you're feeling at a disadvantage, you can back out, but you're forcing Peps to utilize important cooldowns already in spawn.
I mean, Peps just have to go back to spawn entirely. You saw Zerion swift step out of there, and now Space Station, no, everybody's grouped up at spawn. We don't want to overstay our welcome.
Don't have any ultimates, yeah.
And since we only have that bola shot to work with, it's really not going to be that hugely impactful. When Willis is still held onto this Graviton Surge, as Zerion has this Kitsune Rush to actually close this gap in this main choke point, you just don't want to get caught with your pants down here. But now that Willis is on the card, should expect to see some explosive things.
Yeah, so Sugar Free is actually guarding the card here as Hawk avoids the Graviton. Huge bola shots from Chronic, actually. And that opens up this fight. That is a massive pick, because it essentially shuts down the Peps push here. They drop the Kitsune Rush themselves, so Peps is still lying around here. They're looking for a Graviton Surge, but SSG is not giving them any ins into this fight.
I mean, the Kitsune Rush can't even really be used here because it was laid down on the low ground. And when Team Peps was already down a member, they don't really want to just kind of step out in the open like that. But Chronic still has that high ground. You're just putting yourself up to get eliminated by the Freya. And Team Peps, they still have this Graviton Surge to work with, but you've held on to it for so many fights now.
Yeah, that's an amazing fight win for SSG, because they know that Peps have the tools, especially with the Graviton Surge, to win one of these fights. But they don't enable Peps to use them in the first place. It's great positioning from them. Willis now contesting the high ground here for the time being. Going to generate some of this charge, and again, he'd love to drop this Graviton Surge on Owcs and isolate him. But SSG, they're flanking them. They're isolating them, picking them apart from all of these different angles. So Sugar Free and Chronic, they're looking really good here on this defense.
Now they've really shown up, and the fact that Willis has been denied an opportunity to use this Graviton Surge again is a spelling disaster. 1 minute and 20 seconds left, and Team Pep still have to round this corner and secure the second checkpoint. And with that Suzu, it was going to deny Sugar Free from being able to use that Pulse Bomb, but the job is still not quite done yet. FD God is going to come back out of spawn here on the Lucio, and as Space Station still have this high ground control, you're looking at Chronic right now. You're looking at Let maybe coming in and getting a little bit of revenge from that sound barrier that was used previously.
Yeah, both teams staging at the minute here with ultimates coming online for SSG. They want that Graviton Surge, they want to get Sooner Rush. Happy to give up this hard push. FD God resetting his ultimate charge after dropping that Tidal Blast. That's going to be at a disadvantage as Willis now gets taken apart because of this Graviton Surge by Hawk. And now SSG, they have the positioning. They don't care about the card. CJ going to drop the Kitsune Rush as well. And they should be able to clean things up here. Willis over to the Hazard. This is a Team Peps that is now scrambling, trying to find anything going on this second point.
And Willis is getting body blocked here in the canyon. How do you actually get close enough to this cart without taking too much damage? It's gonna have to be a question that is answered in the next couple of seconds, because there's only 6 more seconds left on the clock. The Kitsune Rush is going to help them get past this main choke point, and Dip is there to at least start to trigger the overtime. But Zaro has to get something done with this overclock as he lets it rip. Everybody from Space Station scatters out of these Sojourn sight lines, and that's gonna set Space Station up for success. Chronic finds FD God. The Lucio is gone. The speed for Team Peps and the survivability is off the table. And so Space Station, they get another pick onto the DPS tier of Team Peps, and it looks like this push might be over. Space Station gonna slam the door here in Team Peps' face on the second point as soon as they clean up the rest of these members.
Wow, Space Station Gaming, they're gonna close out this series with just immaculate positioning. They stayed alive for so long in that final fight and didn't give Peps any inch whatsoever on that second point. That was a flawless defense for Space Station. Massively impressive there to hold on.
And after that second map ended up going the way of Team Peps, I really thought, okay, May was a fantastic answer. Looked like Space Station were really going to struggle actually being able to kind of get through that. But they found a way at the end of the day, and that's really all that's going to matter. Space Station, congratulations to them. They do get the win over Team Peps, and they get to move forward in the upper bracket for the World Finals. So clutch.
So clutch indeed. As we take a look at the stats, and this map was never in doubt for SSG. They show that this is a map they can rely on for the rest of the tournament. A comfort map here, Route 66. And being able to showcase that you have maps like this available to you. CJ, dropping
I'm
the
looking at
27-1.
Sugar Free. That's crazy.
37-0. That is quite powerful.
That is the Sugar Free that shows up on the international stage at a World Finals. That is why we consider him to be a world-class Tracer. But I think what was really impressive is that it wasn't just the Tracer from Sugar Free. I think the Echo looked good, maybe struggled a little bit on New Junk City, but I think a lot of that could just be the space that we saw Team Peps want to try to take some of these fights, and it was challenging for the Echo to actually get close enough when I think there was a really great heads up there from Team Peps to say, well, we could just kind of push the pressure onto the Echo, and then as soon as she doesn't have any boosters anymore, she's low on the ground, like that's when we get the cleanup.
Yeah, I think it's really good for Sugar Free to prove that he has the Echo as well as the Tracer in this series, because that is something that other teams have to be worried about now. Are we willing to go up against SSG in an Echo matchup? Because there are quite a few maps here where Echo is really viable. And if you ban out the Echo, well, then Sugar Free is really happy to play the Tracer there as well. So really impressive series from SSG. I think they build themselves a lot of leeway for the rest of this tournament, because now you've proven that you're really good when it comes to Echo and Tracer. You've proven that you're really good on Route 66. And as the other teams prepare for this team, it's going to be even more difficult to figure out what are going to be the optimal strategies.
I love how we're seeing this meta develop already here for the World Finals. I feel like this has really become a wide open book. And for a lot of teams that are coming in with all of the boot camps that they played, they've already gotten a bit of a taste of what these teams are already looking forward to. But now that we have all of our upper bracket round 1 finished, looking forward to tomorrow, I mean, some of those teams waiting in the wings, they have tape now. They can actually go ahead and look and see, well, okay, well, some of these teams, they did play all the cards already. Now we know what to prepare for, and I think that's definitely something Sugar-Free Echo, great call out, and we'll see a little bit more tomorrow.
Yeah, big congratulations to SSG. You're now playing Crazy Raccoons. Good luck, buddies. Obviously, no, that is a massive win to get off to a hot start. Joking aside, of course. And I mean, Crazy Raccoon, they've looked vulnerable on stage before. They lost against Nightmare in the Champions Clash. They lost, of course, in the mid-season championship as well. So it's not like Crazy Raccoon are unfamiliar to taking losses on the international stage either, even though they have been so dominant historically, right? So now you're playing a team like SSG, who have this very defined style where Hawk is always putting out really good performances. Sugar-Free is always carrying. It's really good signs for SSG here, Rose.
But it's been great to see Hawk come back into competitive Overwatch, and Danny has an interview with him right now. So let's see how he's feeling about this win.
You're absolutely correct. I am here with Hawk from SSG. Hawk, I mean, first day, first match, first win. A lot of firsts today. How are you feeling?
You know, that win was, you know, we kind of expected to win that one. You know, we were supposed to win that one, but they weren't. They kind of showed us some stuff that we didn't really expect. You know, like the May kind of ran me down on that second map. I mean, I just got walled the first fight and then ran down a couple of other fights, and that was a little rough. But I think when we were able to have the space in the map on the first and third map, we were able to like get something going, get some snowball going, hold the map, hold the angles, just win the map.
Yeah, I feel like you guys definitely did have your strategy, and it definitely did work. I do want to focus more on you because I feel like, for me personally, I haven't seen you in quite a while, and now you're back. I just want to get your, like, how are you feeling? Like, how does it feel to be back? I guess not on stage yet. I mean, this is still considered a stage, but I mean, you know, being back in like a tournament setting, being able to play in LAN, like, how does that make you feel?
Honestly, I never knew I would be back here. I remember last time I played, it was in Dallas last year, the first major, and I'm like, you know, I didn't think I'd have this feeling again, but you know, we're having a good time. You know, we're not on stage yet, but it's still a competitive environment. We're across from the other teams, and you know, the coaches are behind us, all in person. That doesn't usually happen when we're online. So, you know, I think we're having a good time, and you know, it's good to be back.
Yeah. Talking about good time, I feel like tomorrow's gonna be a good. I don't know if it's gonna be a good time or a bad time, but I mean, you guys are with this one. You guys are gonna go up against a pretty tough team. It's Crazy Raccoon, from what I remember. Hawk, how do you feel about that one? Be honest with me.
They're gonna get absolutely dominated. No, I'm just joking. They're gonna be really good. They're gonna be very tough to beat. We'll try our best, but you know, like, a team's the best in the world for a reason. They've just been so good for so long, and or I guess Falcons is also the best in the world. But you know, you saw the maps be a little close today versus Falcons, and you saw like Team CC almost beat T1. So maybe tomorrow's a 1 in 100 chance. You know, we just start dominating. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
It might be closer than 1 in 100. You know, maybe like 1 in like 20, maybe. But I mean, you know, like you said, and you're a veteran yourself. Like, you know, anything could happen in a tournament environment. So there is a chance. I do believe that you guys could maybe win against Crazy Raccoons, but we will find that out tomorrow. That is it for the post-match interview. Let's head back to the desk. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Danny. I love Hawk. He is one of my favorite players. In terms of just, you always get a real raw answer from Hawk. You never have to worry. And as we take a look at some of these highlights, map number 2, Rose, that's where Pets had their number.
You heard Hawk talk about it. We also identified this during the map itself. I think Dip playing the Mei was a very good surprise there for Team Peps to pull out, and that ultimately was able to lead for them getting a map win in the series. And then we go to Route 66, and then Johnny, completely different story. This was like quite one-sided.
Yeah, Sugar-Free just looked in complete control of this map. And I just love the positioning from SSG, how they play this. They looked really clinical, like they weren't committing a lot of mistakes. Like, yes, at times, left, did you maybe commit a couple of the sound barriers you shouldn't? Yeah. But for the most part, the fact that they were able to stay alive so long in the series, I think that was a massive showcase of them playing on LAN and being really clinical and not committing a lot of mistakes. And that is what you have to do. If you want to be successful in a tournament, you can't be giving up 3 mistakes to the enemy team.
Yeah, and we take a look at some of the stats here, Rose, and it paints the story of a one-sided series. It may not have been exactly as one-sided.
Well, I gotta ask you about this, Matt, because you predicted Team Peps ahead of today.
Well, look, if there was one series I thought we could see an upset, I wasn't picking Varel. And
that's fair.
Maybe Varel would have been a better
I don't blame you.
So looking at it,
they were closer to beating Falcons than Peps.
they actually were, which is kind of wild to think about. I think what really probably ends up hurting Peps here, and it probably is something that lingers throughout the tournament, is like Dip has really been making his money on the Tracer, and at least early on, it does not seem like Tracer is strong, but we got to talk about Sugar Free. I mean, his counterpart on the other side, right? Whether it be the Tracer or the Echo, I mean, he was farming.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a diff, to be honest with you. Sugar Free made his impact, definitely felt on that Tracer.
Go down on a limb there. He's 37-0.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
But I feel like what is so crazy is that it's not the first time either.
No.
Just like, yeah, we've seen like a handful of these from Sugar Free. Yeah, some against Dill Ducks, but now here against Team Peps as well. Yeah. It's like they all count. The fact you were able to go like 37-0 is absolutely ridiculous.
That's nuts.
I mean, yeah, as you see kind of the series layout here is that SSG closes it out in the third game. Rose, how far do you think they can go?
SSG?
Yeah.
It's a tough call. I mean, Danny says 1-20 maybe for their win.
Cam atât și cu live-ul pe ziua asta. Vă mulțumesc pentru cei care au rămas și pentru cei care v-ați uitat. Ne revedem, cred că mâine, dacă ar fi cu alt live, dar nu tot cu finalele. O să tot postez la mine pe Insta-ul meu. Seara faină, v-am